How's everybody doing today? Hello, hello. This is Jesse, and you guys are on my Painting with Jesse page here on Facebook. Thank you guys for joining me today. Let me take a look here and find our feed. Hang on one second. Let me get rid of this commercial. All right, that's out of there. All right. Hope you guys are all ready to have a good time today. I know that I am. Just gotta find the feed. There it is. Cool. We already got a good crowd. Fantastic. What's happening, everyone? Hello, hello. Let me lower the volume on my. There we go. Awesome. Wendy Lehman, how's it going? Brenda Biggerstaff, how are you? How's everyone doing today? Again, I hope you guys are all having an amazing day. And I hope you guys are ready to have some fun because that's what we're going to do. I'm here quite a bit early just to help people find the feed, right? I'm here about, looks like about 15 minutes early, maybe not quite. But it helps people find the feed. They get the notification pop up on their Facebook, and they're able to click on the notification and then, of course, head on over this way. Again, guys, I just want to remind you guys, do not click on any links that you see in the comments section during our session. We get a bunch of spammers on here that like to come on here and try to lure you guys away from my page, try to charge you for the event. Of course, the event is free. Those of you that have been following for a while, you guys already know how it works. If you're new here, I do a bunch of live free events at least once a week, usually 2 times a week, and sometimes 3 times a week. Okay, so if you guys haven't yet, please make sure that you follow the page, like and follow the page so that you stay on top of all the new stuff that I add on a regular basis. We got a pretty busy February coming up. I know we're still a ways away, but February is going to be an exceptionally busy week with, I'm going to try to do 3 sessions a week, so we'll see, but make sure you guys stay tuned. Make sure you guys, like I said, like and follow the page so that you guys get all those notifications, okay? So let's see, Bobby Lynn says that polar bear will fit right in here in frigid North Dakota. Fantastic, Bobby. That's why we're doing it. What's happening, Belkis? Maria Belkis from Puerto Rico. What's happening, Maria? Welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all of you for being here with me today. I expect we're going to have a pretty good sized group. There's quite a bit of interest for the event. I'm not sure how many are going to show up for the live session. I know a lot of you guys like to come back and watch the recorded session later or on a different day. But as far as the live session looks, we're gonna have a pretty good group. So I do expect to have a nice crowd today. Okay, and you guys just heard me mention it. The live session obviously happens. It's gonna start in about 15 minutes or so. The session is recorded and it will be available immediately after the session's over. So the recording of this session will be available for you guys to go and watch. You guys can find it by going to the live tab on the main Painting with Jesse page. Somewhere near the top. Simply click on that live tab. You'll see this video will pop up there, and then all the other videos that we've done so far over the past few months. We've got over 60 videos. It's something like 63, 64, maybe even 65. So if you guys want to go check those out, again, those are under the live tab on the main Painting with Jesse page here on Facebook. Also, for those of you that don't know, I just started, actually I've had it for a little while, Painting with Jesse on YouTube, but I very recently have been uploading as many of the old sessions that we've done here on Facebook to YouTube. And the YouTube name is the same, Painting with Jesse. For those of you that haven't yet, if you guys have a YouTube account, please go over to that page and like it, subscribe to it. That way we can get a lot of traction going there, and the page blows up there as well. I'm going to be doing the first live stream scheduled for YouTube on February 2nd. Our Among Us painting session that we're going to be doing here on Facebook is also going to be simultaneously live streamed to YouTube. So we'll see how that goes. Okay? But anyway, yes, somebody's asking. Renee Ritchie says, hey, from Ohio, do you do pumpkins? We do have at least one pumpkin session. It's not I don't have it up here, but I do have a pumpkin session that we did back in, I think it was November, early November or late October. We did a really nice pumpkin painting where there's 3 pumpkins. Well, there's an orange one, there's a light blue one, and a white one. So if you want to check that out, go to the live tab, you'll find it there. That video is also uploaded to YouTube. Okay, so again, any old videos you'd like to go check out, if you want to go see the library here on Facebook, there's over 60 of them. Go check out that live tab on the main Painting with Jesse page. Okay? What's happening? Lily Rodriguez from Connecticut. How are you? And here there's another commercial. Let's get that out of here. I'm using a copyright-free music page off of YouTube that I like to stream while we do our little sessions. Unfortunately, I can't use anything that's copyrighted, or Facebook will block the feed. I've tried it a few times in the past. There's no way around it. If the algorithm picks it up, it'll block the video, and that is no fun. It'll mute it. It'll stop the feed from playing. So we don't want that to happen. Okay. So anyway, I do have some music playing. Again, it's copyright-free music. Artists that you probably know. So anyway, that's what we got playing in the background. Sometimes a commercial will pop up, and I've got to get rid of it. All right, guys. Just want to talk about the things that are coming up over the next couple of weeks. Let me start off with where did I leave my little slot? I moved some stuff around here. Give me 1 second while I find. Here we go. Here he is. Next Tuesday, little slot, molasses. We're gonna be painting this little guy next Tuesday, 3 p.m. Okay. If you guys are interested in this event, go check out on the event tab here on Painting with Jesse. You'll see all the details for this little guy. We're going to be teaching everything by hand. I did make a stencil available if you guys want to go check that out. When you go to the event, under the discussion tab, it should be the very first comment. You're going to have, or maybe it's the second one, the stencil's in there. If you guys want to use the stencil for this, go check that out. You can download it and print it. If you have any problem printing it, or downloading it, I should say, email me at paintingwithjesse@gmail.com, and I will send you the PDF version of that, okay? So that's next Tuesday. Next Thursday, we got this guy right here. Okay, we're doing Giraffing Me Crazy. So next Thursday, 3 p.m., we're doing that guy there. Same situation. We've got stencils. I've got some stencils available for you to use if you'd like to check that out. Okay, you guys can look for the event on the event tab. Go check that out under the discussion board. You can see the stencils for that there as well. Same thing. Email me at paintingwithjesse@gmail.com if you can't download that copy from the discussion board. On February 2nd, we have an Among Us event. I'll show you guys the painting for that in a little while. Like I've already mentioned. I know I mentioned this a few weeks ago, but we're going to be doing an Among Us, and that's going to be that simultaneous live stream where I do Facebook and YouTube at the same time. We're going to see how that turns out. Lillian, what's up from Canada? How are you, Lillian? Haven't seen you on here for a minute. What's happening, Rose Marie Alonzo? A whole bunch of you guys come back and hang out with me. This is, for some of you, it's, I don't know, 20th, 30th time perhaps, maybe even more. So that's fantastic. What's happening, Catherine? How are you? From New York, setting up, fantastic. So yeah, guys, I won't be talking about what we're going to be using till we start right at the very beginning. So I have as many of you on here as possible. I can start talking about the supplies now, but then I'm going to repeat it right at the beginning. So let's not worry about that for now. Right now, I just want to say hi to a bunch of you guys. Say hello in the comments. Let me know who you guys are with, who you're painting with, where you're painting from, and that way I can give you guys a little shout out. If I happen to see you guys, just comment pop up in the comment section. What's up? What's up, Lou from North Carolina? How are you? Sandy Confer past Polston. Sorry, your comments kind of fly by pretty quick sometimes, so I miss them. I think she asked where I'm part. There we go. What part of California are you in? I'm in Southern California, over here in Riverside County, probably about an hour and a half north of San Diego, a little town called Hemet. Okay, I'm out here in Hemet. Actually, San Jacinto. I just moved from Hemet a few months ago, and I keep forgetting that. I keep forgetting that I moved. So anyway, San Jacinto, California. Again, it's about an hour and a half north of San Diego, right between San Diego and Los Angeles. So if you're in California, hello to you, fellow Californian. Okay, let me see who else is on with me. What's happening? Lisa Guarino, painting with my daughter and her boyfriend tonight. Awesome, Lisa. Hello to your daughter and her boyfriend. Welcome, guys. And let's see, who else do we have on? Anna Alfano Beckley. Hello to you. Awesome, guys. Like I said, we got a good group today. Yeah, Slot's pretty awesome. Little Molasses is going to be a cutie. That's going to be a fun little session to do. But all right, let's see. What do we got? What else do we got? Remember, guys, just want to remind you guys, do not click. I haven't seen any yet. Surprised. Do not click on any links that you see in the comments. Spammers like to jump on here to try to lure you guys away to steal your identity or your credit card information. I'm not sure. If you guys see any links in the comments saying, hey, watch the live feed over here, click on this, leave it alone. Do not touch it. We don't want to touch that. Let's see. Ray. Sarah Razy saying, do Ray once. I'm not sure what that means, but maybe explain what you mean by that. I'm not sure if you're saying mention Ray. Maybe that's it. Natalia Seraphine, how's it going? Tony and Teresa from Murray, Alberta, Canada. Fantastic. Jennifer Chestnut Kruger from Virginia. What's happening? Hello. Let's see. Colleen from Winnipeg. Let's see. Zen and Charity from Ohio. What's up, guys? What's up? So we got about 4 minutes before we get started. We are going to get moving pretty quickly once 3 o'clock hits, 3 o'clock my time, of course, depending on where you guys are. The time frame is going to be a little different, but right at 3 o'clock, I'll start talking about all the supplies and everything else. I will be flipping around to the front, bringing the camera in tight to what I'm doing up here. I'll turn the lights up here in my studio. I don't have them on right now because it does get a little warm in here sometimes. Today's a little bit of a warm day, but I'll wait on that. I will turn the lights up and we'll talk about, oh, Ray from Star Wars. All right, I got you now. I kind of thought maybe that's where that was going. Ray from Star Wars. Maybe we will. That's a good one. That's not a bad suggestion. I actually like Star Wars. We did Baby Yoda a couple of weeks ago. So Grogu, Baby Yoda a couple of weeks ago. I'm planning on doing The Mandalorian sometime very soon. So stay tuned for all of that. And again, guys, I keep getting a lot of common or repeat questions in the comments. Those of you that have been painting along with me for a while, if you guys know the answer to anybody's questions as they pop up in the comments, please help them out. Go on there and answer the question again if you know the answer. The most common question that I get, and then you guys will see it pop up in the comment section pretty often throughout the session as people jump on Facebook and we're already in the session. They might pop up and say, oh hey, I missed it. Will this video be recorded? The answer is yes. As we're going along here, the whole thing's being recorded. When it's all over, the recorded session gets saved to the live tab on Facebook. And I think I did not turn my do not disturb on my phone, which is what I'm using to record this. So throughout, we might be getting some vibrations as the phone rings or dings, etc. So I do apologize about that beforehand. But once again, I didn't put the phone in do not disturb mode, so it will be vibrating throughout. I think I just picked it up here on my feed. I can barely hear it. But anyway, I do see some scammers now in the feed. Do not feed the bears. Don't click on those links. There's one right there at the very bottom by a Hassan Al Mamoon Jabon, and it says click here, paste link. It says virtual polar bear painting. So that's an example of a scammer. Do not click on those links. I do have my friend ban from page, ban buddy. Sorry, let me do a quick ban here. I do have my friend Ariel on here helping out with the admin duties. She goes through, if she sees them, she'll ban and delete. I do the same thing, but they're not always easy to catch. Okay? So all right, guys, it is. Oh, and it's not quite yet. Not quite yet. I was about to say it's 3 o'clock. We got 1 more minute. Yeah, don't feed the fire, says Vivian Alvarez. That's right. Do not feed the fire. Jessica Sigler from Pennsylvania. How's it going? Oh, Vivian's from Massachusetts. Fantastic. Lacey Renee Lewis says, where can I find all the videos you've done on this Facebook page? So once again, folks, if you guys are interested in checking out, we have over 60 videos on here. What you'll do is you'll go to the main page, main Painting with Jesse page here on Facebook. That's all there is, Painting with Jesse, Jesse. At the very top of the page, there's a bunch of tabs. You'll see like live, videos, and I can't remember what the others are. But one of those tabs, the live tab, if you click on that, you can see all of the previous sessions we've done since back in March of 2020. Okay, so quite a few videos. They run the gamut. We got a bunch of kids videos, probably close to half of them are kind of kids oriented, and then the other 30 or so are more complex, like this one, more of an all ages sessions, more of all ages sessions. However, these tend to be quite a bit more complex. Okay, all right, everyone, it is 3 o'clock, so it is time to get moving. My name is Jesse. I want to welcome all of you guys here today. Thank you guys so much for being here. Of course, what are we doing? We're going to be painting our cool, very cute, if you ask me, little polar bear Aurora Borealis painting. Okay, I'm going to be painting on a canvas. I know some of you guys like to use different materials, cardboard, not cardboard, but what's it called? Construction paper, drawing paper, watercolor paper, whatever you guys have is perfectly fine. My canvas is a 16 by 20 inch, just like with the original. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be using. I am going to be drawing everything by hand. And somewhere around here I've got my pencil. I have some pencils over there. I'll grab it in just a second. It's just a basic #2 pencil that I'm going to be using. We are going to be doing some erasing throughout, some corrections and things like that. So whatever you use, you can use chalk, you can use watercolor pencils. Just make sure that you're able to erase. We're going to be painting the background in first. Then we add the bears. I know some of you guys are using the stencils that I made available. Okay? Like I said, we're going to be drawing this from scratch for those of you that want to challenge yourselves. Okay? It's going to take a little time to produce this. We're probably going to take about 2 hours, 45 minutes. This is an approximation. There's no way to speed this up. Okay? It won't be under 2 hours. I guarantee you that. There's a lot of steps involved, a lot of layering that we do on these types of paintings. So I want to make sure you guys are aware that we will be taking a little bit of time with this. If you guys fall behind, or if you guys don't have the time to stay all the way through, stick around for as long as you can. Maybe start with the process. If you fall too far behind or you have to leave, the recorded session will be available afterwards. As soon as we're done here, I press save and it goes right up to that live tab where you're going to be able to go find the video and replay it at your leisure. We'll have the video up for at least 2 weeks, probably longer than that. Okay, the fun thing, the nice thing about the recorded sessions is that you can pause, forward, back up, you can stop it, come back the next day, etc. Correct? So that's the cool part about that. Now I'm going to be using acrylic paints. I've got my paints all laid out right here. I've got some real basic colors, nothing fancy here, but I've got some dark blue that I'm also going to be adding a little bit of white to later on to create some light blue layers. Our background's a really dark blue and then kind of slightly gets lighter as we go down towards the bottom. Okay, I've got pink, I've got green. Those are for the Aurora Borealis lights. Some of you might be using some neon colors to touch up the Borealis lights at the end. Well, I'll talk more about that a little bit later. I've also got black and white. White obviously for the bears, black for outlining, but also I mix black and white to make gray. Okay? So again, those are the basic colors. I do like to use paper plates for my palettes. I have a few extra where I do color mixing on, so if you guys are new to acrylic painting, that's how I do it. Okay, and I'll talk more about this, but just have an extra plate or two if you're using, have some kind of surface where you're going to be mixing some colors on. Okay, also brushes. I've got an assortment of brushes. I'll give you guys a closer look here in a little bit. They're pretty basic. We'll talk about these right when we get started with the actual painting. I have a paper towel roll. Okay, things get messy. Messes happen, spills, etc. These come in really, really handy, so you want to have some of those. I've started using latex gloves to cover my hands for when we paint. Otherwise, I end up really, really messy. So I will be using a pair of those. And then also, I just want to repeat. I do have the YouTube page up and running now. I'm not doing any live streams there yet. The very first live stream I'll be doing to YouTube is going to be on February 2nd when we do the Among Us painting. Okay, it's going to be live streamed to Facebook and YouTube. So be on the lookout for details on that. I did post that on the Main Painting with Jesse page. So if you guys are interested in checking that out on YouTube, go to the Main Painting with Jesse page, click on the last post. I think it was the last post that I did. Click on that and it'll take you to my YouTube page where you can subscribe to that. I know some people prefer to watch this stuff on YouTube because of the format, etc., etc. Okay? So, all right, folks. It is 3:04. Let's spin things around. I'm going to come over to the front. I'm going to bring everything in nice and tight. so you guys get a really good view of what I'm doing. The way this works really quick, so when I have everything set up and we get moving, I do a few steps or a couple of steps, sometimes only one step, it depends on how complex it is, on my canvas. Then I give you guys a little time to do it on your canvas. Usually about a minute or two in between steps, and then I go to the next step. In between steps, I look at the comment section and I answer questions, I say hello, that kind of stuff. I'm not always looking at the comment section, so if you guys post something on there, I might miss it. Please don't think I'm ignoring you or anything like that. It's just that I'm not always looking at that comment section, okay? I try to let you guys know when I am looking at it, that way you guys know, okay, maybe I can ask my question now and you'll see it. So that's how this works, all right? But here we go. Let's get moving. Hope you guys are ready to have a little fun. I'll be turning the music up in just a bit. Let me get my setup. You guys should be getting your setup all ready as well. Give me 1 second. I moved my easel over to the other room. My studio has 2 little rooms, and I moved my other easels over. Like I said, I'm going to be painting on a 16 by 20 inch canvas. You guys can use whatever you've got. If you're using a smaller canvas or a larger canvas, you just have to make little adjustments if you're trying to get a similar proportions as to what I've got on mine, right on the original. We'll talk a little about that here as we get started. But again, mine is on a 16 by 20 inch. Just want to repeat, we're going to be doing that background first. Okay? So give me 1 second here. Let me move the camera forward and bring the lights in forward. Turn up the lights a little bit as well. Here we go. We're going to try and get as much of everything that I do, as close of a shot as I can with everything. So get yourselves situated. Maybe do a couple of stretches, some deep breathing exercises. I know some of you guys get pretty stressed out. When you do this, try to relax, just have some fun. That's the main point of all of this. That we all have a little fun, learn a little painting in the process. I don't know what all of your experience is. I know some of you guys are experienced painters. Some of you are really new. Just going to give you guys a quick close-up of my paint colors. Okay, again, I've got this deep blue. Okay, and I just want to point out a couple things on that background. So the background is really dark here at the top, and gets a little bit lighter as we go down into the snow area, the horizon line for our snow. Okay, we're going to work on the background first, like I mentioned. But what I'd like everyone to do, you're going to grab your pencil. Hold on 1 sec. Let me move my lights a touch. They're a little bit in the way. What I want everyone to do with whatever you're going to use to draw on your canvas, you're going to draw a little horizon line, really light line across. A really light line across your canvas. All you're going to do is somewhere maybe, so on my 16 by 20 inch canvas, it's 16 inches high, 20 inches across. So I've got this line that I'm going to draw across, which is the horizon line for my snow. And it is approximately 4 or 5 inches, 4.5 maybe from the bottom. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. All I'm creating is a marker, a mark. This line is going to serve as a visual. When I start to paint in that background, I know where to stop. Okay, it's a really, really light line. You can probably barely see it through the video, but just know that there's a really light line across. It's kind of squiggly. It's not perfectly straight. Again, the purpose of this line, it's going to get covered up with paint and everything. It's going to get lost. We're not going to see it at the end, but it's so that I can see where I want my skyline to stop. Okay, so go ahead and start with that. Let's take a look at my brushes. Okay, so as long as you have a variation of these, you don't have to have the exact brushes that I've got. But a nice little variation of all of these. I got this large 2-inch flat brush from Artists. The brand is Artists Loft. Okay, what this does is it allows me to cover large areas very quickly. So it's a 2-inch flat brush, synthetic bristle flat brushes with this type of brush is considered. Okay, so this is what I'm going to use to paint in that background. Then I've got an assortment of smaller brushes. These next brushes, the brand is the Fine Touch. It's a pretty basic starter kit. They're decent brushes, good for what we're going to be doing today. But these are all synthetic bristle brushes. Some of them are Taklon bristle and some of them are nylon. Okay, but anyway, the Fine Touch is the brand. This is a 3/4 inch brush. If you've got a 1/2 inch brush, if you've got an inch brush, that'll work perfectly fine. This one's a little bit spread apart here, but what happened is I laid it down on like this for a little too long, and that spread apart. Those bristles spread apart. But you want, for the most part, you get the idea. Anyway, next brush that I've got, next size down, is this number 6 flat brush. Okay, number 6. It's about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch in thickness. If you've got something similar to that, that'll work. Then I've got a little number 2 flat. This is a pretty small brush, 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch in width, somewhere in there. Again, as long as you've got an approximation, doesn't have to be exactly like mine. And then I got this little skinny brush, little 0. This is what you call a round brush, or a round brush, or a liner brush. So it's a 0. Okay, just a little skinny thing that we're going to be doing things like the outlining on the bears, little squiggly lines in the ground, some really basic stuff, maybe some of the outlining like in the mouth and things like that. Okay, so all right, those are the brushes. First thing I'm going to do here, we're going to get going now. Grab this brush, I pulled it out. Oh, water cup, water in it. In between steps, all the brushes sit in there so that they do not dry out on us as we're painting. Okay, big brush out of the cup. I'm going to use a paper towel to squeeze out the extra water. Sometimes I do mix water with my paint. In this case, I'm not going to do that for this first step. I'm going to take this dark blue as it is right on my palette. I'm going to scoop up a bunch of this like this, and I'm going to come across the top. I know some of you guys are painting on a table. You're not doing it on an easel. I'm raising the neck of my, whoopsie, I got this little paint that went on there. No big deal. We'll fix that here in a moment. So just coming across the top. Now the paint that I used here on the original is a little bit more of a navy color on the top. Okay, this is more of a blue. I'm going to stick with this dark blue. I like this dark blue, or this hue of blue. If you guys want a little bit more of a purplish color like that is, again, this is just on top. The rest of this is more like this, just a lighter version of it. If you guys have a more of a purplish blue, a navy blue, that's perfect to make it look kind of like this. If you don't have that color but would like something like that, you would mix a touch, and I mean a touch, a little tiny bit of black with your blue that you're going to use for that upper area, and then a little tiny bit of deep red if you have it. So you're basically making it slight purplish. Okay, now check this out, folks. I'm just using a paper towel here with a little bit of water. It's got a little bit of water, and I'm just going through here. Because the paint is still wet, I'm able to remove it. Okay, and of course this is all going to be blue anyway, so it wouldn't have made too big of a difference. So this paint right here is nice and thick. We'll come back and layer this one more time to make it really intense. But for now, this is all we really want. And look, what I'm doing here is I'm brushing left to right, right to left, just long horizontal brush strokes. These long horizontal brush strokes make it so that the background is really nice and smooth. Okay, nice and clean background. Okay, just like that. I also like to match my edges to the front, so whatever I do to the front here, as long as it touches an edge, I typically wrap it around. So I'll go to the sides like this, the top. For this band of color, this is about as far down as I'm going to go. Okay. I'm going to be using my brush here again in just a moment, so it's not going to go back into my cup until just a bit. Let me plug my power source into my phone. And again, folks, I apologize if you're hearing any vibrating or anything like that during this session. I didn't get a chance. I got a little caught up trying to ban a scammer, and I didn't get a chance to turn on the do not disturb. So my apologies, but there is going to be some vibrating happening throughout. Might even ring. Who knows? I can't go do it now because I'll interrupt the feed. Okay? All right, guys. I'm looking at the comment section for now. We go really slowly here at the beginning, and then we start to pick up the speed as we go into the session. Okay, once again, I just want to remind everyone that we will be painting for approximately 2 hours and 45 minutes. We're going to be creating for about that length of time. Okay, so don't worry if you don't have that much time to paint. If you've already started and you're going, oh my gosh, this is going to take so long, I didn't realize how long it was going to take. Paint for as long as you can. If you have to leave an hour from now, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever the case may be, and you're not done, obviously we won't be done by then, you'll be able to come back to the recorded version of this, and you'll be able to just continue wherever you left off. Okay, so don't stress out. Let's go. Let's do this together. Let's have some fun. Hopefully all of you guys can stick around till the end, but if not, that's okay too. All right, next layer of paint. So this is uneven. I'm not sure if you guys can tell in the video, but this is uneven in color. Okay, that's okay for now. I will come back and do another layer over that once this dries, and it'll deepen the color and it'll also smooth things out. What I'm going to do now is with the same brush, I have my little mix plate here, my separate plate that I like to have so that I can mix colors. I'm going to take some of that same deep blue that we were just using. I'm going to take a little bit of white, just grabbing the brush like this, taking a little section of my plate, and I'm going to mix a little bit of white and a little bit of blue. There's no exact hue of this. There's no exact color that I'm looking for. I'm just looking for something that's a little bit lighter than the original that I just used. Now I'm going to take this color. Let me move my palette over a tiny bit. Just a little over to the side. I'm going to come in here, and now I'm going to take this blue. Now keep in mind, all of this is going to be covered up with stars, and the Aurora Borealis lights are going to be running through this. So a lot of this is going to get lost underneath all of that. Right here where the two colors kind of meet, I'm turning my brush like this, where I'm using the edge, and I'm going to bring this color up a little. Because the two colors are wet, makes it easy to blend them. So I'm using a little bit, and it doesn't have to be a perfectly even blend. I'm not looking for a stripe across. I'm just looking for some blending, and it's going to be a little more blended in some areas, and it's going to be a little bit less in some. I can bring this up really high here in the center maybe, and not so much on the sides. I want a little bit of variation. So again, we don't want a stripe across an even stripe. We want some slight variation in the color as we move from top to bottom. Now you can kind of come down here. I picked up a little bit of the dark from when I brought my brush up here towards the top, and as I just kind of come down like this, some of that color naturally comes with the brush, and we're able to change up the hues down here as well. Now, there's no exact science on this. I'm not looking for anything particular. I just want a nice variation of color from top to bottom. The idea though is that it does lighten up a little bit as it gets further down. So what I'll do now, once I come across here to about here, and this is about close to halfway. I'm going to take a little bit more of my white. I'm going to lighten up. I'm going to lighten this up a little bit more. And here we go again. Now remember, we have our line with the pencil line that we put in a little bit earlier. Maybe we want to come down to that. I can overlap it a little bit. I can even come down further. If that happens, don't stress about it. It's not an exact line that we have to absolutely stick to. We can change it up a little bit. Again, all of this is going to get lost behind the stars, behind the Aurora Borealis. So a lot of these subtle variations in hue and stuff are gonna disappear a little. Your eye isn't gonna catch them as much. But once we have those stars up there, everything's gonna look really nice, because even though the variations are subtle, your eye will still pick them up a little bit in between those stars and everything else. And again, folks, don't stress. You're not trying to recreate this exact thing. There's nothing exact about this. There's just a general dark hue at the top. It slowly gets a little bit lighter as we get down here. If your area down here is really, really light, much lighter than this, I'm sure that's going to work just fine as well. Okay, if this up here is really, really dark for you, same thing. It's going to work out, no problem. All right. Again, I am going to come around to the edges. Just going to bring my color around like this. I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to catch up on this part. I'm going to look at the comments here in just a moment. I'll let you know when I'm looking at my screen. All right. Now, I'm pretty much done with this brush, except for maybe when I come over and do another layer up at the top so it makes this a lot darker. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to stick it in my water cup for now. Okay? All right. What do you guys got for me? Looking at the comments, guys. Let's see. You've got a white spot on the right side edge. Okay, I'll get to that here in just a moment. Thank you for that. I think that was Jody. Awesome, Jody. Thank you. What else we got, guys? You guys are probably all pretty busy doing your thing there. Hi, Diana. What's happening? Diana Regalado. She says, Jesse, thank you so much. Your comment disappeared. Sorry about that. Flew past, but you're very welcome. Thank you for being here. Once again, thank all of you. What's happening, Penny? You're freezing. How cold is it where you are? Aubrey Gold. This is beautiful. Thank you. You're very welcome, Aubrey. My pleasure. Thank you for being here. Let me go ahead and bring these a little closer. Okay. What's happening, Sierra from Michigan? No worries. Where'd you go? Where'd your comment go? Let's see where. Jody, no worries. I appreciate it. You should see how many times I'm going through my painting sessions. Almost every painting session, I forget something. Somebody will remind, hey, Jesse, you missed this, or you missed that. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's kind of like my trademark. How often I'll forget some little detail. All right. Aubrey Gold says, my twin daughter's birthdays are coming up in February, and this will be awesome. Oh, guys, with that, is anyone celebrating a birthday today? Let me know in the comments so we can all say happy birthday to you. All right, guys, here we go. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to add a layer of really light gray. So the color on the original varies a little bit. There are some variations of it's a really light gray, but for now, we're not going to worry too much. We're just going to lay down a nice light gray layer all the way across from one side of the bottom to the other. So all of this in here is going to be a light gray. Okay, let me go ahead. Actually, before we do that, let's make it a little bit easy on ourselves. Let's draw this little lake in there. If you're going to have that, you don't have to have a lake in yours. Right in here somewhere, towards obviously the left side of my canvas. I probably came in about 3.5, 4 inches, right about right here. Just going to draw a little line that comes like this. Just have a little lake that's in there. We're going to add a little bit of blue in there in just a moment before we actually start with the white. Or actually, we can do it after we add the white. We'll see here in just a second. The exact steps to either of those isn't super important. But for those of you that are going to have a little lake there on the side, go ahead and draw yours in. Okay? And then what I'm going to do, first let me cover up that little edge over here before I forget, because I will forget. Right up in here. Looks like I had a few of these little spots. Now this, when I paint around my edges, there are some people that don't like to do that, and that's okay. Okay, you don't have to. That's just a choice that I make. I'm going to take a little bit of my blue here, kind of the lighter blue, and I'm just going to come in here, Drop a little layer right in there. There we go. And you could, if you want, you can wrap this around to this edge. I'm just going to do all this in the same gray that I do in here. I'm going to do my edges in that. But some people might choose to take this and wrap it around. That'll look pretty neat too. Okay, there we go. I'm going to be using this same brush for that gray, for the snow. Now I'm going to mix a little tiny bit of blue in there, a little tiny bit. So I just used this for the lake. I still have a little bit of blue in there. Okay, just a touch of it. I'm going to grab my white now. Grab a gob of this white. I'm going to bring it over to my mix plate. I'm going to do that a couple times. Okay. And maybe if you don't have any blue on your brush, just grab a little tiny bit of it. Not very much. You're just slightly going to tint your snow. And then grab a little tiny bit of black as well. So a little touch of blue, little touch of black. The darker the color, the more intense it is. So in hue, so you don't need a lot of it to make a big impact when you're mixing colors. Okay, there we go. So I just made a nice kind of bluish gray that we're going to use for that snow. I want to make sure I've got enough. So I'm just adding a little bit more white in there because we're going to cover all of this in here. I'm just going to come in here. You can do your top edge first, your horizon line. Yes, this paint might be a little bit wet, so be careful. You don't want to grab too much of that. Now, here we go. Grabbing my brush here from the back of the handle, nothing fancy. Nothing where I have to be really tight with the brush or anything like that. Just a nice loose grip, and I'm just brushing across. Gotta be careful around that lake. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit more of my blue now, a little bit. Mix it in with that same color. I've got all this covered up. Okay, I've got all of that covered. Now I'm going to take a little touch of black again. I'm just creating a darker hue of this now. Slightly darker version. Don't worry, folks. I'll give you a chance here to implement this in a moment. Okay, nice and dark. Now I'm going to take this right here around my lake and wrap around above and below. Then it can come across. So when I blended my colors here, it's not a perfect blend. It's not all one color. I do see some different variations. I see some blue in there. I see some white. I see a little bit of a darker gray. All of that works. When I pick it up with my brush and I bring this across, all those different hues work to make that background, to add a little bit of depth to the background. Especially right here down the middle. Again, there's a little bit of a randomness to this. I'm just kind of using my eyeballs here as I'm going along and doing this. A little bit more black. When I lay the paint down, I look at it. Do I like it? If I like it, I keep it. If I don't like it, I look for ways to change it. There we go. I like those little streaks that are in there. That's what I'm looking for. I want streaky paint. those streaks with variations in color are what gives the snow a nice 3D effect. I'm just going to come up here to the top edge again. Just going to refine that horizon line a little bit. There we go. Now I'll take some of this paint, I'm going to wrap it around my edges. Oh, I didn't. Let me throw on my gloves, folks. Give me 1 sec. Just makes it a little bit easier to keep clean. Look at my hands are already. Well, you guys know. You guys know what I'm talking about. All right, let's take some of that paint, wrap it around the edges. Again, not everybody likes to paint their edges. I know lots of people like to leave them blank. That's perfectly fine. It all depends on what you plan on doing with them too. Some of you like to hang them up and like that clean edge look. I like to have paint wrapping around the sides. Because I'm on an easel, I will not paint this bottom edge till the very, very end. If I paint it now and I place this down on the easel, it will glue to the base. Okay, so I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to give you guys about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes to catch up with this. I'm going to take my big brush here and I'm going to stick it in my cup. Now, while we were working on the bottom there, all this appears drying. This, for the most part, is dry to the touch. Okay, for the most part. All right, but here in just a moment, depending on when we continue with the next step, which is going to be to add more color up in there to darken this upper area a bit more. I may take a blow dryer and quickly dry this before I add that next layer. Okay, so all right, let's look at those comments, see what you guys got for me. All right, quite a few more comments. So the pond, little pond or lake over here on the side, all I did was I just drew it out first, outlined it really quickly, nothing crazy, nothing too perfect. Everyone's going to be, yours could be a little larger, could be a little smaller, up to you. Yours could come in a little further inland or into the center of your canvas. So I just outlined it, and then I took a little bit of the blue. Any of the blue that's in here will work. Maybe the stuff that's lighter here towards the bottom, take a little bit of that, fill that in, and you're good. Okay? Yeah, and your snow can vary in color. It could be a light gray, it could be a darker gray. You know, it just really depends. Okay? There's no right or wrong with that. It can even be stark white. The biggest reason why I don't do my snow stark white is that because the bears are going to be lighter in color, and I want those bears to stand out against the snow. I could have gone the opposite way. I could have done the snow all really light white, and then my bears would have been more of a light gray, and that would have worked as well. Okay, I chose to make my snow darker and my bears lighter. Okay, that's why my snow is intentionally a little bit more on the gray side. Okay, but again, the opposite would have worked just as well. The bears probably wouldn't have stood out as much, but you can make your snow really bright white, and then the bears can be a little more gray. Okay, so there's that. All right, what's happening, Marilyn? Princess Marilyn is back. How's it going? Awesome, Jennifer Chestnut Kruger. Thank you. Super happy that you enjoyed them. Okay, but all right, here we go. Everybody, I see there's quite a few people that, or at least a few people that posted they have birthdays today. Happy birthday to you. Let's see, Lucas. I see somebody named Lucas with a birthday. Maria has a birthday. Are you guys hearing me okay? my volume is turned down on my feed. So somebody mentioned that they're hearing double dialogue. Maybe they're hearing my voice echo, but my audio, the audio on my laptop, as far as the live feed, the audio's completely down. So you should not have, at least not from my end, you shouldn't have that. Okay? But let me know if there's any problems. We'll see if there's anything I can do to fix it. So hold on one second. What's going on here? Let's get our music back up. But okay, let me take my blow dryer. I am going to dry that top really quickly. Give me one sec. This is almost completely dry. This is a really quick way to get your paintings nice and dry. Doesn't take very long. Acrylic paint dries very quickly for those of you that are newer to the medium. There we go. That's done. Now, once again, folks, for those of you that want a more purplish look up here on the top, this is a navy blue that I used on this original one. I decided on this one that I want the same blue, just in different shades going throughout from top to bottom. If you guys want a little more of this, if you have a navy blue, that's what you would use up on top. You could also, whatever blue you're using, you could add a little bit of a deep red to make it slightly purple, and then a very small, tiny bit of black, or even a little touch of brown. Okay, that'll help deepen the tone and make it a little bit more purplish. But you want to be really careful when you add your black to it. Work slowly as you're adding those deeper colors, because they will quickly overtake the blue and make it much darker than you may want. Okay, but here we go. Big brush once again. Cleaning up the brush first. Got a bunch of water in there. I don't want to use any of that water. Like I mentioned earlier, sometimes I'll take that water and mix it in with my paint, but in this case, we don't need that. I want this thick paint, which will give me a deeper hue of this, deeper tone. So here we go, right here towards the top. Now, I don't want to bring a lot of that down, so once I've covered that, the majority of that area up on top, I'm going to take and remove any extra paint off of my brush. Might have to do that a couple times. I just want to use the paint that's remaining on that canvas I use my brush, my almost completely dry brush, to spread the paint that I just applied. Okay, now I'm removing any excess paint that's coming off onto my brush. Then I can take the skinny edge, the thin edge here, and I just lightly brush the edge to clean it up a little bit more. So light touch. This way I don't ruin the blending that I did further on down. Okay, and if I wanted to, I could bring this around and wrap it around to my edges like I did earlier. I'll go ahead and do that now. All right. I could also maybe, as I take a little step back and look at it, I'm going to come over on this side. I'm going to bring, just on this edge, I'm going to bring this darker color down a little bit. Sorry guys, another commercial. Let's get rid of that. Don't need commercials. I understand why they have them, but we don't need them interrupting our feed. Just on this side, like I said, just bringing some of this really dark blue down a bit, and then I'm slightly gonna, as we move across, I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. There isn't a whole lot of paint on my brush. I'm using almost a dry brush method here to pull that paint through Watch, I'm holding the brush. Again, very little paint on here. There we go. Now when I do my lights and stuff and my stars and everything, all this is going to blend in to create a really cool little effect. I could also take this and come down here if I wanted to and just kind of just create a variation in that color that's down there. Be careful when you do this. There's not much paint on my brush. Again, all of this is going to blend in with the stars and everything else that's going on up there. And there's a lot to create a really nice background. Okay, done with my brush. Back into my cup it goes, and there it's going to sit. Probably not going to get used again for the rest of our session. All right, you guys get a moment here to do that, implement that step. Shouldn't take you too long. Awesome Bear Barry says, reading you loud and clear in Ontario. And then I see some of you guys also kind of confirming that the volume's okay. So thank you for that. Yeah, sometimes you got to jump out of the feed and come back in. Weird stuff happens. So, But all right, guys. Go ahead and work that in a little bit. In just a moment, we're actually going to start. We're going to put in this little hill right here, right over here. Allowing this a little time to dry, okay? Then we're going to start in with our lights, our Aurora Borealis lights. Now we could put the stars in first and then the lights on top, okay, over all of that. But either way will work. The way I did it is I put down the Aurora Borealis lights first, and then I came over and sprinkled around to create all my stars. There are some areas where the stars they overlap, they layer over the Aurora Borealis lights, but that works out okay. Okay, if you want to see less of that, you would do the lights, you would do the stars first and then come in over that with the lights. But either one's fine. Okay? But all right. We're going to work in this little hill now. Okay, we're going to work in this little hill in just about a minute. So we're going to mix a little bit of a gray, a little bit of a gray mixture. And we're going to put in that. You don't have to have a hill in yours if you don't want, or maybe yours is on the other side. Yes, I have all these little areas down here where I got some of this light blue coming through. I will fix that here in just a bit. Okay, I just kind of went through there really quickly, and this isn't on purpose. Okay, so these little areas right in here, up in here, those are all going to get lost behind the lights and everything else. So, but down here, I do have a pink hue of some of those lights that are off in the distance. So I could use that pink to cover all that up as well. So, all right, 30 seconds. So I didn't show this one earlier, February 2nd, for those of you with children that, or maybe some of you adults, I know quite a few adults like to play this video game, but Among Us, all of you Among Us fans out there, February 2nd, this is the one that we're going to be doing the live stream, the simultaneous live stream to both Facebook and YouTube. But if you guys go over to the event tab on the main Painting with Jesse page, you'll find all the details for this. There are a couple of stencils that I'm providing. If you look in the discussion board, you'll see the stencil for this little guy and then for that guy. Okay, if you guys can't have a problem downloading those, simply send me an email to paintingwithjesse@gmail.com, paintingwithjesse@gmail.com, and I'll get those over to you. I'll get you that PDF format over to you, okay? And then for those of you that would like to help support the page, I do have a virtual tip jar. Okay, I really appreciate those of you that are able to. I know some it's okay if you cannot, no big deal. I totally understand it. But for those of you that would like to help support the page, I do have a virtual tip jar. Venmo, Jesse Mendeville @paintingwithjesse. PayPal, paypal.me/paintingwithjesse, all one word. There is a link in the description of this video to all of this. It's not, sorry, not a link. There are details to all of this in the description of this video, but there's a link to my PayPal there as well. And then I do have Zelle, 951-217-2237. Okay, once again, for those of you that might be interested in that. Other ways you guys can help support the page is by sharing it, by inviting friends, by tagging the Painting with Jesse page when you post your pictures on your social media. I greatly appreciate that. We just hit 27,000 followers as of yesterday, so that is fantastic. And I really appreciate all of you that have been coming out and hanging out with me and having a good time. Okay, but here we go. Let's create our little hill. I'm going to take my little number 6 flat brush. Okay, let me show you guys what that looks like. Again, as long as you have something similar, you're good to go. Again, I have synthetic bristle brush. That's what I like to use. I like synthetic bristle brushes. This is a Taklon bristle brush, number 6 flat. It's about maybe about ½ inch in thickness. Okay, so let's get some white. Let's get a little bit of black. We're gonna mix the two together. Let's grab my mix plate. Just bring some white over. I just drip some on the floor there, but I've got floor coverings, so we're good. We don't need a lot. Just gonna grab some black. Now I'm gonna mix these two together. They don't have to be perfectly blended. Okay, again, kind of swirly is okay. Over here, somewhere on this side, my hill comes in maybe about 4 inches from the edge, 3.5. I'm just gonna mark that off. And I'll mark off where I want that hill to touch the edge. And I'm just gonna have those two meet, connect the two. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap that around to the side, so paint that over the edge. I'm using the skinny part of my brush like this. And then we paint this in. Wrap it around over to the edge. Just like that. I am scooping up a good gob on here, a good amount of it. I want this paint to be a little thick. Doesn't have to have a lot of detail, doesn't have to be a perfect hill. Okay, I'll do that, then I'll take a little bit of white, just white. Okay, and then just kind of lightly add a little bit of that in here. And I'm just tapping my brush, the tip of the bristles, mostly over the top. This hill's way back in the distance. Doesn't require a lot of detail, but let me show you guys what that looks like kind of up close. Later on I can come back and then add a little bit of darker hues maybe towards the bottom. We're gonna have some trees that sit in the front of that. We'll add those in a bit. But for now, that's what we've got. Okay, I'm going to take my blow dryer and dry that top edge. And then, folks, a close-up of our Giraffing Me Crazy next Thursday. Okay, open to all ages. Will take us about 2 hours, 45 minutes to complete. There are stencils available for this. Again, if you go over to the event page here on the main Painting with Jesse page, you'll go up to the top, click on events, and you'll see this listed in there. You'll click on it, go over to the discussion tab, and the stencils for their heads. Actually, the little giraffe has the neck included also, but the stencils are listed right there in the comment section. Okay, so that's next Thursday, 3 p.m. West Coast or PST time. Okay, hope to see a bunch of you guys there. Let me do a quick check on all my connections, make sure that I'm not on the verge of losing my power or anything crazy like that. It does happen from time to time, and it's no fun. All right, so all this is dry to the touch now. Okay, let me explain a couple of things. I'm going to start with the Aurora Borealis lights. I'm going to start with the green, okay? We're going to do this in layers. It's not going to look perfect on the first layer. The first layer is just the base layer that goes underneath. Okay, it'll start to form looking like the Aurora Borealis lights, but it's going to take at least 2 steps, maybe 3 steps on each one of these. Whether you're doing, maybe some of you are doing just green, some of you might be doing just pink, maybe green, pink, yellow, and of course I got these kind of light blue ones that are out there in the distance or up in the upper area of my canvas. But I'm going to go back to my little number 6 brush. Okay, this guy right here. I'm going to clean it up a little. Just swirling it around in my cup. Cleaning it up just a bit with my paper towel. Now, I'm not mixing any paint with this, or sorry, any water with this. I'm simply going to take a little bit of my paint, just like this. And what I'll do is I'm going to start somewhere down the center here. Okay, I'm just going to do this. Grabbing it like this, nice and loose. Just coming over. I don't have a lot of paint on my brush. It's going to be a little bit transparent, especially this first layer. Okay. I'm going to bring my stool in a little bit closer. And I'm just going to keep loading up on my brush. Nothing to it, folks. Nothing to it. Come across like this. And then as I start getting close to the ground, it gets smaller, skinnier. Trails off a little bit, okay? Up in here, I'm just gonna go like this. Watch me, watch me, watch me. I take a little bit of paint and I start to spread it. Using the bristles to move that paint around. Now, as I'm doing this, the paint's actually drying underneath my brush strokes. And as it's drying, it kind of thickens up a little bit. I'm using that as I spread the paint across the canvas. It starts to actually move down there. I can actually see it moving a little bit as I do this, almost like the layers are kind of getting pulled together a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take my bristles like this, and I'm just going to start brushing upwards a bit. This is going to be a little hard for you to see. It'll make more sense. I'll give you guys a close-up in just a bit. I'm just pulling up some of that paint that's still a little bit wet. I start to pull some of it up. I know I'm blocking it with my hand a bit, but they're to give you a view as to how that is starting to look. So I'm taking my brush and I can even kind of push up a little. Okay, you can also do it this way. Pull up. I only do that a little bit. Don't have to do that a whole lot just yet. When I come back and add another layer over it, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to make it more intense. Now I'm simply going to take this. I'm just going to continue my way up here somewhere. This set of lights is going to end up right up in here somewhere. Don't try to match mine exactly. It's not that serious. Simply find where you feel on your canvas your lights are going to go. Nice and light. Everyone's painting is going to look a little bit different. Okay, so let's see. So here we go. Back to this. At first, they're not going to look like much. Here I go, pulling up again. Try not to block the camera. This is really subtle, nothing super obvious just yet. It's when I add the other layers that this starts to make more of an impact. Okay? Where else do I want one? Up in here somewhere. Start right here. Take a little bit of paint and spread it. You don't want this to be really thick. As you start to run out of paint, simply dab your brush into your palette. And then this one's just going to come down a little bit. It's going to trail off. Okay, and then here we go. Remember to spread the paint around a little bit, but take some of those little edges that might be a little bit on the thicker side and pull up with your brush. Even this already as it is already looking like the Aurora Borealis lights, right? I'm not sitting there. I could even leave these like that, go on to my other colors, and it'll still make sense. Okay, so doesn't have to be anything super fancy. All right, take a little bit of time with that. I'm gonna in a little bit I'm gonna create the other ones. This one back here. I'm gonna go to the pink ones, but give you guys a little time there to catch up. Let me give you a close-up once again, just so you guys can see. There's nothing to it, nothing too crazy about this. It looks up close. All it is just some paint spread on a canvas. Okay, just some paint spread on a canvas. If you have a darker green, simply add a little bit of yellow, maybe even a little bit of white. Start with the yellow first. If your green is really deep and you want to lighten it up, start with a little bit of yellow. Make it lighter with yellow first. Then if you need to, add a touch of white to it. That'll get you somewhere close to what this is now. Okay, this has a little bit of neon over the top of it. So I do have a little bit of neon paint that I'll be using, but I don't need it. Even if I didn't use neon, it would still work just fine. Okay? All right, let's take a look at those comments. See what we got. There's about almost 300, let's see, 200, can't tell, yeah, looks like 282 devices currently on. So fantastic. Carrie Louise says it's horrible. Don't stress out, guys. Have a good time with it. How's it going, Sanchana? Yeah, there you go, Mandy. I look like Lillian answered your question, but yeah, take a little bit of yellow, add a little bit of yellow to it, and that'll do the trick. What's happening, Monica? How's it going? To you and your sister. The Cardinal. Oh, the Cardinal one. We did that one already. Somebody's asking about the Cardinal painting. Who is that? Let's see. Cassie, no. Monica. So Monica, we did this. I think we did this one about 2 weeks ago. If you go on the main Painting with Jesse page, go up to the live tab. You'll see this video there, waiting for you to go do it. Okay, it's also up on YouTube already. So on Painting with Jesse on YouTube, I walk you through all of the steps. There are stencils involved for those of you that want to use a stencil, but I do teach you how to draw everything by hand. If you need the stencil for these, simply email me at paintingwithjesse@gmail.com and I'll get those over to you. Okay, but this was a really fun one. A lot of fun on that one. And then for those of you that haven't seen Mr. Vincent, what do you guys think of Vincent van Gogh? This guy's a lover. Look at him. Look at this guy. Vincent van Gogh. This one's also up there. A lot of animals. Well, not a lot of animals, but a few animals. We did that one a few months ago. Don't remember, sometime in the spring, I think it was. So again, if you guys want to go check out all those cool things, cool videos under that live tab, go check that out. All right. Here we go. Let's continue on. A little bit of green. Back behind. This one's eventually going to be behind our main bear over on the right. And your bears can be wherever you want them to be, right? If you want, maybe this little guy here is going to be center stage. Could be right in here, and these guys could be off to the side. All up to you. Make whatever changes you want. Don't forget, I will be asking you guys to please send me pictures of your masterpieces when you guys are all done. Send me a picture, preferably of you guys holding your painting. I'd like to see pictures of you. People also like to see, it's just human nature. Like to see faces. But if not, send me a picture just of your masterpiece, and it'll be perfectly fine. If you guys are painting in a group, send me your group picture. Those are really cool to look at. Seeing how everybody's paintings turn out a little differently. Now, what I like to do with those is I'll take those and share them in a mass post with all the pictures that have been shared with me so far. Okay, so again, I'd like for you guys to send me your masterpieces when you're all done. You're going to go to Painting with Jesse, the messenger here on Facebook, Painting with Jesse. Go to my messenger, go to your messenger and send me a message with your pictures. So here we go, same method as before. Again, this one's going to get lost behind my bear, so most of this is going to get covered up. Don't have to have too much detail to it. Okay, and then again, I'm just going to go through and pull some of these up. And again, I realize I might be blocking some of this with my hand. I try to do my best to get out of the way here, but okay, now by now, when I touch this up here, this is all dry. Okay, if yours isn't dry, don't worry about this. I'm just going to demonstrate this really quickly, just so everyone has an idea as to what's kind of in store here for the next few steps. If I come in here, now when I add this next layer, everything gets a lot more intense. I'm just layering right over some of what I did. I like that the first layer is nice, and there's areas that are really transparent, so I want to use those in this. And then once again, I take my brush and I just pull some of this up. Okay, come up here and maybe do that in here a little. Okay. So we're gonna let all this dry. I'm not gonna do this to these other ones just yet. And in a couple of minutes, we're gonna move over to the pink. Add a little bit of pink in here. Add a little bit of pink off in the distance, like what you see over here. And add some of that down in here. Okay. So got about a minute and a half before we move on to pink. We can't delay too much on these. We can't, otherwise we'll be painting past 3 hours, and I'm trying to avoid that as much as I can. Sometimes we do go a little past 3 hours. So I'm just going to clean up my brush, same brush for the pink. Going to clean that up a little. Again, I just want to remind everyone that on the original, I do have a little bit of neon that I layered over the top. You can always add that later as well. If you don't have neon today and would like to add some, you can always come back and add a little layer over some of it to give it the extra little pop. Okay? What's up, Celia? How are you from Montreal? Looking over at the comment section, folks. Yep, again. It's in there, Celia. It's under that tab. So if I go over to my painting with Jesse page, I'm doing it on my laptop here really quick. I go over to the live section up on top. Scroll down, and the cardinal session is the third one on the top row. We got Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon in the first spot. Then second to that is Baby Yoda or Grogu. And then the cardinal session was 2 weeks ago. Okay? But all right, here we go. A little bit of pink. So grabbing a little bit of pink. We're going to use the same method. Okay, I'm going to start up in here. Now you can decide if you want yours to have a lot more pink than mine. Yours can be all pink. Up to you. Also, folks, you can always come back and do this again. Maybe this is your practice run. Oftentimes, usually the case is that if you come back and attempt a painting a second time, you'll get better at it. You got a better understanding of what it takes to create what you were trying to create in the first place, right? So if you wish, let's say things aren't working out quite the way you want them, I would tell you to stick with it. Don't cut out just because you're not happy with what's happening. What's partly could be happening is your experience level. You might be a little bit, especially if you're newer, might be a little tougher to get to. Especially these little Aurora Borealis lights. This is a really light touch. Okay? I'm not there. Again, there's very little paint on my bristles. I'm using mostly the tip of those bristles. So sometimes, some of you are going to have this naturally, no big deal. Others of you are going to have to work on it. You'll come back. Again, though, don't cut out just because you're not liking the way things are looking. Just do what you can, go for it, finish up. There's lots of stuff going on in here. You might end up going, oh wow, actually it's a lot better than I thought it was. Sometimes it takes some time for you to step away from it a little bit or work on other stuff, and it'll start to look a lot nicer as we go along. But if you want to come back and do it a second time, absolutely, the video is going to be available for you. Okay, so these here don't require as much work as the green ones. These are a lot more subtle for me, for my painting. Okay, maybe up in here I'll pull them up a little. But again, nothing. These are a lot more subtle. There's a lot less going on with the pink ones than with my green ones. My green ones are the prominent ones. But I'm going to take some of this pink. I'm going to drop down here again. Very little paint on my. Less is better. It's better to err on the side of having very little paint than too much paint. And I'm not going to worry about those white spots coming through from the background. I'm just going to go right over the top of them. but I start with very little paint. Okay, there's almost no paint here on my brush. And I'm using a little bit of pressure now to get that paint, the little paint that's on the brush, to layer onto that, to stick to the canvas. If you guys are interested in getting the same brushes that I've got, again, this is the Fine Touch. I picked these up at Hobby Lobby. You can also order them online, I think. Just Google the Fine Touch, and you'll get those. You'll see them. I bought these all come in a 25 pack for about $10. And they're not the best quality brushes, but they'll last a while as long as you take care of them. So again, very light paint, just running across, using multiple brush strokes over the same area to get that paint to spread. Those colors, or this area that we're doing right now, the idea is that these colors are way back over the horizon. So it doesn't require a lot of paint to get this effect. I overlapped a little bit into my snow here, no big deal. I can clean that up by adding a little bit of white or gray to the top of that. And then as you get up to the top edge of your pink area here, it starts to fade out a little bit. So here I'm using very little paint and a little bit more pressure with my brush. There we go. I like that. Good look. Take a moment with that. Carrie Louise, yep. Can't go into Hobby Lobby or Michael's. They got so much good stuff in there that I start walking up and down the aisles, and I love all types of art, pretty much anything. And anything that I see, I'm like, oh, I know I can do that. I can do that. And I feel like buying all the supplies necessary to create something with what I see. But yeah, it's dangerous. All right, guys. You guys got about a minute before we move on. We've been painting for about an hour now. Got about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes approximately. We're making good time here. But at about the hour and 45 minute mark, I want to jump in and start with the bears. Right? So we got to get in these lighter lights up in the sky, and then our stars, all those stars, the galaxy and stuff that you see in there. We do want to do a second layer over this one here and this one. The pink one doesn't require one, but if yours does, you'd want to do a second layer over that too. So, okay, so finish this up and we're about to move on. When we're done with today's session, which, like I said, will be at about the 2 hour and 45 minute mark, as soon as we're done, maybe 10 minutes after that, I'm going to jump on my YouTube, do an impromptu live session there. If any of you guys want to join me, just to come on and say hello. I just want to practice a little bit over there because I want to learn the platform before I jump in and start doing lives there, actual live sessions. I'd like to learn as much as I can before I actually go do an actual session, right? So as soon as I'm done here today, I am going to jump on over to YouTube. It might take me about 10 minutes to get set up, but I will be jumping on that YouTube. If you guys want to join me just to say hi, and maybe you guys can give me recommendations as to things you guys want to see on here, future projects, that kind of stuff, just to chit chat. Okay, so Painting with Jesse on YouTube. Here we go. Next step, same brush, cleaning it up a little bit, swirling it around inside my water cup, getting all that extra paint out of there. Okay, clean that up enough. Now my water's all light blue now, the water that's inside that water cup. The paint is so diluted it doesn't make a whole lot of difference if I still have a little bit of that water in here. But I'm going to take a little bit of white, just white paint, Okay, just bringing it over. You can't see it on my palette because it's all white. Then I'm going to take a touch of blue. Okay, I still have a little bit of blue that's fresh there, that lighter blue. I'm going to mix the two together. I'm going to make a really subtle light blue, almost imperceptibly blue. Super light. And we're going to do the same thing that we just did with the green and the pink lights. Over here, I'll start over on this side. Just going to bring this over. Remember, we don't want a lot of paint on our brushes. I can already tell this is a little lighter than what I've got over there. I'm kind of liking the effect. Happy little accidents. You don't have to have an exact vision for what you want to do. It'll play out once you get going. What I always tell people though is start. I get a lot of people messaging me, maybe not a lot, but I do get a few people messaging me saying, hey, I don't know, I'm scared to start, I'm nervous, I don't know what I'm doing. And I say, just go. Let me turn off. We got a commercial. Gotta get out of here. So my painting experience, I don't have any real formal training. I just went for it, and I have a pretty artistic background. I grew up drawing as a kid, drawing everything. Just something that I really, really loved. I was really small, 3-4 years old when I started to draw. But yeah, I would recommend just go for it. Just do it. You'll learn as you go. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be frustration. That's all part of it. It's how you grow. So just mixing a little bit more of this. Going to tone it down just a touch. Okay, here we go. Actually, I'm liking this. I'm liking this brighter. And now again, here's what I'm doing with my brush strokes. There's very little paint on here. Okay, let's go back up. Start brushing upwards. Let me make sure I'm still on the non-copyright music. It is not. Let's get out of there. Again, we don't want our video to get flagged. Here we go. Okay. Here's my, and again, this is a little bit lighter than on the original. I kind of like that. If I wanted to tone that down, I would just make it a little bit more gray. I kind of like this, the way the light's reflecting off of that just makes it look like it's glowing a little bit more, has a natural glow to it. I am digging that. So I think I'm going to maintain that for the most part. Again, if I wanted to tone it down, I would take a little tiny bit of black or the blue and make it gray, a little more gray like I am now. And then I can come in here, and that's quite a bit toned down. Okay, I'm going to bring some over here. We're going to start picking up the pace a little bit. When I do the neon, when I actually add the layer of neon, that's going to be at the very, very end. I'm only adding some neon to my green and a little bit of neon to my pink. And if you don't have it, if you don't have any neon colors, that's okay. Using just the tip of the bristles to spread that paint around. And then let's not forget to bring some of that up. You might have to press down with your brush a bit to bring those layers of paint, push them through and up. Yeah, I'm liking this. Ran out, so I'm mixing a little bit more. Okay. Again, all this is going to get lost behind the stars and stuff in a moment, so it's going to add a little bit more down here, and I think we're done. Touch up over here a bit. I'm gonna bring that up. Taking a little bit of water to dilute my paint a little tiny bit, thin it out a touch, and let's see. Maybe up in here. Smooth out some of the little edges a touch. Again, watch how I'm holding my brush. Sorry folks, my phone was ringing a moment ago. I'm sure you guys all heard that. Like I mentioned, I didn't get a chance to put it into silent mode or do not disturb mode. Those spammers that like to jump on, they wreak havoc on the process, and sometimes I get caught up. So they'll go to the comments section on the discussion board before we actually start the event, and they'll start spamming that like crazy, hoping that they get some of you guys to jump on here trying to find the feed. And so I go through there and I'm banning them, trying to delete them, and it's a process because they'll bombard the feed. They'll post 20, 30 times all one shot, and trying to remove all those as quickly as possible is just a big pain. Anyway, it takes up a lot of time. And like I said, it distracts from the process. So that's what I was doing, and that forgot to take it off. Put my phone on do not disturb mode. Yeah, I'm liking this more glowy effect. All right, folks, work on that for just a bit. Let's take a look at those comments. Actually, give me 1 second. I need to send a quick message. That's right, Penny. Let's see, somebody asked, what if they're not spammers? I'm not sure what you mean, Jennifer. So these guys are pretty obvious. The guys that jump on here that I'm talking about, they're really obvious. They're basically posting stuff regarding this feed, this event. They're talking about, you know, hey, watch the polar bear live feed here, and they put up a link. And I've tried it. I've gone to those links, and they'll ask you to register, and they ask you for credit card information. They're trying to charge you for what I'm doing free, and I don't even think they actually show you the feed. They're just trying to charge you. They're trying to get you to give them your credit card info. So yeah, it's just it's a pain in the butt. Give me a sec, folks. Somebody was trying to call me a moment ago. I just want to make sure there wasn't anything, any kind of emergency. I'm going to send a quick message through my Facebook Messenger. While you guys keep working on your lights there, gives you a little bit of time here. In a moment, we're going to come in here and add some more highlights, or another layer over this one and the green one, and then we're going to move into adding the stars. Once we add in those stars, like I said, everything starts to make more sense. Okay, what are you doing there, Facebook? All right. All right, there we go. Okay, next step. Feels like we got bogged down a little tiny bit there. I got to pick things up just a touch. So back to my brush. I cleaned it up a little bit, just taking some green. I'm gonna grab a bit of this green. I'm gonna come over, and again, I pick my little spots. Don't have to cover up everything that we've already done. And in other words, we're not covering the entire green area there. Just kind of going towards the center a little bit. This layer is a little thicker than the first. Now I'm going to take my brush once again, and now I can go up, pull some of that up. You're going to start seeing little tiny streaks over the top that are a bit more prominent. Just a bit. Look like little hairs almost. And then I can just kind of inside, just kind of brush it up and down. But we do want a little bit of those wispies coming up over the top. And if yours does not have those wispies, or if you're having a hard time making those, that's okay. Don't worry about it. If you want to exclude those from your painting, that's perfectly fine. So this one needs a little bit of extra green in here, so from time to time I like to take a little step back, look at my painting from a slight distance. Gives me a better perspective. If I keep a really close view the whole time through, I develop a little bit of a tunnel vision, and I can't see everything. So I take a little step back, look at things from a distance. Okay. And then I'm going to touch this one up a little bit more. Okay. All right, work on that in a moment. All right, folks. So in just a moment, I'm going to come in here, start adding a bunch of those stars, little stars in the background. And yours could be super busy. It could have a lot more of these little lights in there. It could have a few less. Everything's going to be okay, right? Yours could be brighter. They could be a little bit more subtle. Even if you look at mine now, right? This is quite a bit brighter than on the original. Those are a lot more toned down. But I like this. I kind of like that because it does reflect with the light. It actually looks like they're glowing. I'm not sure if you guys can pick that up in the video. But again, if I wanted to tone this down, I would actually, for this, I would add a touch of water to this paint to dilute it a bit more, but I would also add a little bit more blue, and then, again, very little paint on the brush, and we'd go through there, and it would be a little more transparent like that. But I'm kind of digging that. Okay? But all right. Got a minute before we start adding some stars. Hi, Alexandra. Awesome. Hockey today, huh? Cool. Yep, come on back and try it. Oh, wow, Bear. That's no fun. Yeah, heck no. You got to be careful with those links. And I try my best to let everybody know as I repeat and repeat and repeat, hey guys, please do not touch those links. But I mean, I've seen people interacting with links. Or let's say they post a question. So somebody will come along and post a question on the discussion board. And then one of those spammers will come in and post a link underneath their comment. And usually it's somebody that's newer to the page, right? They're not familiar with it. They're just kind of trying to figure out how things work. They'll see the link. I mean, it's obvious it's not from Painting with Jesse page. The answer didn't come from Painting with Jesse. It's somebody else, but they click on the link. Or no, sorry, they'll respond to the spammer. They'll say something like, oh, hey, I'll see like, hey, it's asking me for credit card information. Is that correct? Right? And I have to try and jump in and go, and I'll say, no, stay away from that. It's a spammer, blah, blah, blah. And I've seen that more than a couple of times. So I know some people are getting duped, and I do my best, but, and I know Facebook can't really do much about it. How do they know that somebody's account is fake, right? I report them and I flag them as spam and stuff, and I ban them from my page, but that's all I can do. But all right, folks, I'm grabbing some white paint. I'm using my little number 6 again. It's getting a lot of use today. You can also do this next step with a toothbrush. But I'm grabbing some white paint. I put it right here on my plate. I'm bringing some water over. Now watch this closely if you've never done this. Some of you already know how to do this. You got a little bit of experience. But I've got some watered down paint right here on my plate. And so again, I took some white, brought it over, dipped my brush in my water cup, brought that water over, and I spread it into the paint. So what I do is I'll take this brush and I'm gonna grab my finger. I'm gonna make a bunch of little, now you wanna practice a little bit first. Try a little area first. Okay, it's gonna be hard for you guys to see it. I'll show you in a second what I'm doing. I'm doing this, I'm basically flicking paint onto my canvas. Now, what starts to happen, and again, you guys wanna get some practice right here. You guys see all those little tiny specks of paint? I'm going to start doing that all throughout my canvas. And the more I do it, the more of this galaxy effect. Looks like a galaxy, right? Like we're staring off into a galaxy a little bit. Okay. Again, a toothbrush works just as well. Actually, a toothbrush works a little bit better in many cases. It just depends on the... Hang on one second, folks. Got another commercial I got to skip through here. Same guy keeps coming back, trying to convince me to buy some kind of workout supplement or something. But all right, just mixing a little bit more. Again, you want to practice a little bit. Take a little area of your canvas and just do a little bit at a time. Don't pull too hard on those bristles right at the get-go. Just lightly do it and see what happens. If you don't have the right mixture, you might send a big old gob out, and you don't want that. Once you kind of get a feel for what you've got, you're like, okay. So then you just do it. I'm just doing it a lot, really fast, right? Just going through there until I run out of paint. I'll flip it around to the other side. So once I've done it like this a bunch of times, and I'll flip it over like this and do the other side. Eventually, you're going to get a really nice coverage with these little specks, these little flecks of paint. Specks of paint. Flex. Let's make up a word. And then you just keep mixing this. You just keep making more and more as you need it. Again, my paint's a little bit on the blue side. My water cup has a little, whoops. See what I did right here? Went a little too fast. Got a big gob right there. I'm not too worried about that. But again, you guys want to be careful. And I know what it is. My paper plate, I'm using the same little area too much, so some of the plate itself is starting to dissolve under the paint, so I'm going to have to move to a different section. So what that is it's actually a gob of the paper plate itself that's dissolving underneath. Never had that happen before. But all right, no big deal. Learn from my mistakes. If you want to make larger stars, you can turn your brush around, dip the handle into the paint, and then maybe you have a few of these bigger ones throughout. I didn't do any of this on the original, but you could if you want. Get a little bit of a variety going. Okay, up to you. Luckily, this is about where my bear is going to be, so I can just cover that up with my bear. Whenever I make a mistake, whenever something like that happens, a happy little accident, or not so happy little accident, I'll look at it and see how I can use it before I try to fix it. I'll look at it and go, okay, so how can I use that? How can I implement that into my painting? So one way, I could take my bear and make sure I cover that up. Might have to raise the bear a little bit, or I might have to bring it over to the left a bit, but I would try to cover that up. Otherwise, I could also turn that into some more of the lights, right? I could come in there and just right over that, turn that into some of those bright lights in the background. And lastly, I would go through and try to eliminate it if I can't use it in the painting. Okay, the eliminating part of it's probably the hardest part, so I want to avoid having to go through there. And what I would do is, if I wanted to remove it, I'd take my paper plate, my towel, and I'll try it. But I'd lightly come over with a little bit of water in here and just lightly rub over the top of it, and sure enough, it starts to come off. Don't want to go too hard, because then I'll remove the paint, the light blue paint under it, really lightly. And there. Got it. Almost completely. Now I can come in there with some light blue paint right over the top of that. Okay? So sometimes things like that happen. But again, just kind of go through and add a bunch of these stars everywhere. The more you do it, the more density you're going to have. In my opinion, the cooler it's going to look. However, it's your painting, so you do with it what you want. If you want less of this, then do less. Okay, if you want more of it, then go to town. But mainly, have some fun with it. If you have an old toothbrush hanging around somewhere, you can use that. The stiff bristles from those toothbrushes, and because you have so many of them, it works really well. Just load it up some more, and here we go. Nice and easy. By now you realize if this is the first time you're trying this can be a little messy. Now you guys see why I'm wearing gloves. Half the time I'm walking around with hands that are full of paint. I don't paint every day, but I paint a lot. Probably every other day and all day long. There we go. I'm liking that. All right, guys, work on that for a bit. You can always add more of this later, okay? You don't have to do it all at once. Do as much of it as you can. I mean, I could still come in here and do another layer over everything and it'll look even cooler still, again, in my opinion. But if you want to do it all at once, go for it. In just a bit, we're going to start with our bears. We're actually going to start, and again, I'm drawing the bears from scratch. In about 2 minutes. You guys got about 2 minutes before we start on those bears, okay? So get yourselves ready. Relax a little bit. I know some of you guys are probably going, oh my gosh, we're going to start drawing. Oh no. This is the hard part. And it is going to be a little bit difficult for some of you, but again, have fun with it. Try not to stress about it. Enjoy the process. All right, guys, work on those stars for a moment. I'm going to take a little step back and relax for a moment while I drink something over here in the background. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm looking at those comments now. Yeah, so yeah, sometimes that happens. Falling stars, you'll get those. When, you know, when as you pull back on that on those bristles, sometimes you'll get a nice little line of paint that goes on there. Sounds good, Barbara. So when I do the head, I am going to be doing it in pencil. I have some watercolor pencils. I might use one of those, but you'll be able to see my pencil lines through all of this. This is a little bit on the lighter side. I might end up using a black. I could also use chalk. Maybe I'll use chalk. Somebody asked in the comments, how are you gonna be able to do the lines? Let me do a little test here. Might be a little too light. Well, let's see. We'll figure it out right now. I'm gonna bring in a little tight close up. Get a tighter close up so it's easier for you guys to see my pencil lines. Okay. Now, if you guys have your stencil, I'm not sure how much of it you guys are using. Some of you guys are going to be using like a carbon copy paper or used carbon copy paper. Maybe you've already added your bear to yours. I know everyone approaches this a little bit different. If you're going to trace it on right now, or you're going to draw with me right now, you can use your pencil. You can use chalk. Yeah, right in here where the white and the blue meet. I'm going to do all this in pencil. It's all going to be in pencil. I think you'll be able to see my marks. I just tested it with chalk, and it's a little bit on the lighter side, so no big deal. I'm just going to clean up my chalk here. You guys will be all right. Now I'm going to turn the canvas towards me a little bit, so I got a better angle of what I'm doing. I stand over to the left of everything, and a lot of times that changes my perspective, and my drawings come out a little tiny bit out of proportion because of my perspective. So I'm going to turn the canvas towards me a little bit, try not to make a mess over here knocking things over. And then let me turn this guy towards me so I have a better view of it also. Okay, I'm trying to kind of find a happy medium where you guys can both see what I'm doing and I can see what I'm drawing. That way we all benefit. Okay, so we're going to start with the big bear. Big guy over here. Little guy, but he's up close. So he's real tight. Just imagine you're taking a picture. You got a camera. You're taking a picture, and this little guy's right up front there. Just basic number 2 pencils. What I'm going to be using. Now I'm going to start with my pencil lines really lightly, really light pencil lines. I'm going to lower my volume on my music. I want to be able to concentrate, kind of like when I'm backing up my car or something. I turn down the music because I can't concentrate. So we're going to start with this guy right here. So I can block all this area over here, no big deal. But our little guy right here, he's up close. So this guy on my 16 by 20 inch canvas, from edge to edge, his little ears are about maybe 6.5 inches across. And that's where we're going to start. Now your little guy could be over to the right, could be over to the left. What you want to do is you don't want to go too high on your canvas. Again, if you're doing this from scratch. Because if you go too high, you're going to have to include more of his body down at the bottom. Okay, so kind of be conscious of where you're putting him. But again, on my 16 by 20 inch canvas, there's about a 6.5 inch spread across like that. So what I'm going to do is I do a couple of things. Now you might have a hard time seeing this, but I'm going to mark just a kind of rough marks where the ears are. So one there and one here. Keep your pencil lines light. I'm doing them a little bit darker than I normally would, so it makes it easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. So, but here's where about where the ears are. Okay, and then as far as his height, he's about, from top to bottom, he's about as high as the distance between his ears. Okay, you guys all see that? Really quick way to get proportions on something is using your hands. You don't have to bust out a ruler. I mean, you can visually see that that's about correct, but just to do a quick, quick sense of what everything, the proportions of everything are, you just do this to this, and there you have it. So what we've got here, we're going to do this, okay, and there's about the top of his head, about right up in here. Keep your pencil lines light. You can erase on canvas. You can. I can come in here and do this, and that's pretty much gone. Okay, I can also take a little bit of water on a towel, paper towel, and wipe down on it. So be careful here. So here's about the top of the head. So we got the width of the ears, we got the height of the bear, and then this down over on the sides, we're not going to worry about that too much. What I want you guys to do now is you're going to look. So he's wider from ear to ear than he is. And then the height from the chin to the top of the head. This is a little bit smaller. Okay? And in proportion, if I do this and turn it, that's about as far as we get. So again, we're just kind of eyeballing it a bit. That's about right here. So now we got the bottom of that chin. Top of the head's right here. And that's this little bump right there. That's this guy here. Ear to ear's right here. Bottom of the chin's right here. We're just blocking some stuff out. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Everyone's bear is going to look a little different. Don't stress too much. If you've got your stencil, go ahead and put your stencil on and go ahead and draw it in. Outline it. Okay? Just going to make a little adjustment. This is going to go a little bit higher. Here we go. We're going to start with that outer edge of our bear. So this part's going to come up like this. Notice my pencil lines, nice and loose, nothing heavy. Again, I'm doing these a little darker than I normally would because I want you guys to be able to see them. But you want to make your pencil lines, even if you're tracing yours, you want really light pencil lines. Then this guy's going to come over and do something like this. Come up. Don't worry about this in here. I'm going to tighten this up in a moment once I get my general. Okay. So this edge right here, I'm just going to, again, folks, I'm not looking for an exactness. I don't want you guys to be looking for the exact image that I've got over here. You don't have to make a duplicate. Everyone's little bear is going to have its own unique look. So there's my ear, the general shape for my ear. Okay. There's the edge of his head, comes down over, comes under, curves out about over here somewhere. This part is about this. Okay, I'm going to come up a little bit more in a moment. I'll refine it. I'll darken it up a little bit more so you guys can all get a good view. His little ear comes out like this, comes up, goes in. Now we're going to go up. I'll give you guys a little time to catch up in a moment, folks. I'm going to stop and look at your questions and comments. Comes over, dips down, comes up. There was my original line that I'd created for the top of the head. I'm going past it a little bit. That's okay. We're not looking for perfect. We're looking for good enough. Okay, let me take a little step back. Look at my masterpiece. See how my drawing's coming along. Maybe this side I'm going to open it up a little bit more. Widen this part of the head out a little. Remember, all this is going to be covered up with paint, so I'm not too concerned about all these extra lines. I can go in there and erase if I need to. For now, I'm just sketching. Top of his little head comes over. All right, here's what I got. Let me give you guys a close-up. Okay. These are the lines that I put in at the beginning. We're going to paint over that, so I'm not too concerned with that. There's the top of its little head. Obviously, his little head's at an angle, so this little ear's higher up than this one. If you were to go across like this, right, this ear's higher up than this. Okay. Work on that for a moment. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking for about. Okay? About. You're not trying to be too perfect with everything. I mean, do your best. If you want to try to match mine exactly, then absolutely go for it. But if you don't get it, don't stress out about it. Have fun with this. If your little bear ends up looking different, perfect. As long as it looks like a bear, that's all that matters. Okay, so there's that. Next time what I'll do is I'll get a really, really light piece of chalk and do this against the dark background. But I think you guys can see what I've got there. So Sue Cripe says I have a teddy bear. Teddy bear works too, Sue. All right, right here. Right over by this little ear. We're just going to draw a little line that goes out. Curves out a little bit. Comes down a touch. And then curves up again and comes down to that corner. Somewhere near that corner. Okay. And then over here. Down here somewhere. My little guy has... Looks like I'm going to go a little higher. Up there. Comes down. And out to the edge. Again, folks, we're just sketching right now. We're sketching. We can correct things with our paint. Once we have paint on there, we're going to be able to make corrections, adjustments. If your bear ends up a little chubbier than mine or a little skinnier than mine, it's okay. Different sized bears out there, right? Okay, cool. So I've got this little area up in here. I'm just going to make a little, just going to erase that a little bit. Get that out of there. Nice and light. Don't want to press too hard on that canvas. Let me take a little step back. We're going to paint. We're actually going to go in here and paint this in all white. We're going to paint all this white. And then we're going to come in and add our details. Okay? So give you guys about a minute to get to this. For those of you that have the stencil, if you didn't include this already, obviously you want to add this. Once we paint, we're going to come in and add the little eyes and the mouth. Now, one difference that I can already tell is that that little guy's head is cocked a little bit more than this one. Okay, just a touch more. Now I can make an adjustment on that. I think I will. I'm going to bring this ear up a little bit more. Okay, like this. And I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Just raising up the ear makes a big difference in how much that head is turned. Okay. And then I think I'm going to bring this. I don't even have to erase that because I'm just going to raise the line up. Drawing is about making little adjustments as you go. Your lines are not going to be perfect the first time that you put them down on the canvas, so they rarely ever are. Go through, make little corrections. Okay, there we go. Okay, I like that better. So here we go, gonna add some paint. Just gonna take straight white paint and I'm gonna add a little layer over our little guy. Get your white paint ready. At first he's gonna look like a flat. It's all going to be like one giant flat area of white. Not a whole lot of detail. We're going to put down our first layer of paint on this little guy, and then we're going to move on and draw the other pair of bears. Then we're going to come back and start adding detail in there. But here we go. My 3/4 inch flat brush, just grabbing a gob of this paint. It's going to come in here. I'm going to layer everything first. I'm going to outline. Come down. Now your colors are going to be, your paint probably is going to be a little transparent. If you're working with acrylic paint like I am, it's going to be a little transparent on this first layer. Don't stress about that. Put your layer of paint down, and then we're going to move on. We might do a little bit of, I have some of my light blue water still in the brush. I should have squeezed out that extra water, but we're good. Just covering everything, going over my pencil lines, covering those up. Again, folks, this layer is going to be transparent. We're going to We're going to be layering this little guy. Now here under the chin, as long as I can still see that original pencil line a little bit, I'm good. I want to be able to see that. Okay, what I'm going to do here is this. Even though this is our first layer of paint, I am going to come in here and somewhere about where the top of the snout is, somewhere in here. Again, his head's slightly cocked, so this would be the top of the snout. This isn't super precise. Don't stress about this. He's going to start brushing his fur back towards the top of his head. And again, this layer of paint is transparent. It's okay. We'll fix that later. Come out towards the sides over here. Then over on this side. Now notice again, I'm just brushing towards the outside of the bear, all the way around like this. It's going to go all the way around. I'm starting to give, even though this is the first layer of paint, excuse me, and it's transparent, I'm starting to give the bear's fur some shape by brushing in the direction of that fur. Okay, right up here with the ears, and I'll be switching to a smaller brush in a little while when we come back and do a second layer. There we go. And then his little nose, I can simply do this for now. Give it a kind of a general shape. This will change a bit later on. Okay? So there we go. Nothing fancy. Nothing precise. Same thing down here with the fur at the body. I'm just kind of brushing it down. Following the shape of his little bear body. Okay? Kind of like that. This is what it looks like up close. Okay, again, a little transparent. I can see some of the blue on the background coming through. See some of the pink back there. All that's going to go away when we come back and do second and even third layer. Okay? So work on that for a moment, and then we're going to draw the other two bears in the background. I'm taking a look at the comment section. What do you guys got? Now I can come in here if I want to. Now that I'm looking at this up in here, I can come in here and clean it up a little bit if I want. I might come in and clean some of this up so it's a little bit more transparent on some of these edges. We'll see. We'll see how much time we got later on. We are at 5:03 p.m. We've been painting for 2 hours. That means we've got about 45 minutes. We're probably going to go a little bit over, just kind of based on where we are. We might go a little bit over, so hopefully you guys don't mind. And if you guys can't stick around all the way through to the end, remember the video will be available after, so you guys can go back and check it out. Hi, Sarah. How are you? Thank you, Sarah. Let's see. So Darla Foot, yes, there will be a replay. It's not so much a replay. You can just go access the recorded version of this afterwards. Okay? Thank you, Jen. Jen Kennedy, thank you so much for the compliment. Greatly appreciate it. Trying to love your comment, but for some reason it's only letting me like it. It deserves a love. It deserves a heart. There we go. There's the heart. Remember, folks, your painting's going to be transparent right now. This is transparent. Okay? All right, guys. Another minute on your bear. I know this can take a little bit of time to flesh out. So, but again, don't stress too much about trying to get perfect coverage on this first step. The main things to look out for is maybe you don't have any real clumpy areas, okay, because they'll interfere with your next layers. If you do have some clumpy areas, like I got a little bit of extra thick paint there and a little bit of extra thick paint down here, I'm not too worried about it because I'll use those. But if you have too many of those, you might have a problem putting layers of paint over it and making your pear look clean, let's say. Even though on the original it has a bunch of little thick areas, which are kind of nice. I like those. Depending on where you put them on yours, you may not like it. So spread your paint layer on and let's move on. Okay, we're gonna come back. The layers that come after this is where things start to pop and get even and whiter and brighter. Of course, we got some gray that we'll be adding. We're gonna be drawing here in a little bit when we do the eyes and the nose and the mouth and everything else. But what I want to do now is, first I need to move this water cup out of here before I end up knocking it over as I'm drawing. So let me put that in this little water cup holder. So what we're going to do now is this. We're going to draw these guys down here. And I'm trying to position it so I can get a good view of this little pear over here and that you guys can still see what it is that I'm doing. I'm going to move my laptop to the back. I'm going to move my paint out of the way. I'm going to need a bigger painting table here pretty soon. Whoops. Hold on, guys. The laptop's going to go to the ground for a little bit. I'm trying to get the best position possible for the next step. And again, what we're doing now is we're going to draw the two little guys in the background. Maybe that's Mama Bear or Papa Bear, and that's either a sibling or that's Mama and Papa Bear. Who knows? Up to you guys. It's your painting. You get to decide what those are on yours. And let me see if I can get a tighter shot here. Give me one sec. A lot of steps to this, folks, right? Here we go. So I'm going to start with the one in the back. Actually, I can start with either one. I'll start with this little guy in the front. So these guys are over to the side. Maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly block out the bottom edge of this little guy. So it's going to come down. His little tail. I'll give you guys a close-up in a moment. Please don't stress out. You guys have the stencils. Of course, you're tracing these out now. Come out. So there's this little bottom part of his body. His little tail. Okay. Let me see, is that in shot? Yes, it is. Okay. Now, I'm going to come up. From this edge, it's going to come up. Okay, let me erase that little line there. Don't need that. This right here is this right there. Okay, so again, this line here, this edge is this. This bottom is this little guy's bottom edge there. Bottom of his tushy. That's going to come up over on the left. Comes up. This is that. Okay. Curves inwards. Okay. That's his little top part of his neck right there. Right about here. We're going to ignore the ear for now. This is going to come forward. I'm going to give you guys a moment to catch up here in just a bit, so don't stretch. Don't stress out. I'm stretching his neck out too much or his head a little bit, so let me adjust for that. Okay, it goes into a little point, comes back down. I'm going to ignore the mouth for now. And then we're going to connect this. Okay, so we got something that looks like this. Okay, no mouth, no eye, no ears or anything like that. We just have the general shape of that little bear's body. He could be a little wider. I think if I make him a little bit wider, he'll look more like the original. But there's the general shape. So maybe I will make that correction. I'm going to widen him out a little bit. Whenever you're drawing, you want to make things, if you're gonna make an error, you want to make them smaller than you would want to. You want to make the mistake of making them smaller than the mistake of making them larger. Larger requires erasing, requires more adjustments that sometimes are harder to cover up. If you're just going from smaller to bigger, that's pretty easy. Okay, all right. So this guy's a little ear right here, just an upside down U, or not an upside down, it's a U, or a little U at an angle. There's the little inside of the ear. I'll give you guys a close-up in a moment. Right up in here, where this little line comes down like this, we have his other ear sticking out over the other side. Almost looks like a little mouse. Okay. Right up in here, we got a little nose. A little button nose comes out. Okay. Looks like that. Then we got the mouth. Little mouth curves in. And we got a little eye. So the eye looks like a little teardrop. With the teardrop or water droplet going up at an angle. Okay. There's that little guy. Give you guys a moment there. We're going to continue with the other one. All right, still 200 devices hanging out with us. So that means we have at least 200 people still painting along today. How cool is that? Fantastic, if you ask me. All right, next bear. And again, folks, at any point, if you're falling too far behind or you're getting frustrated, relax a little, take a deep breath. This is a little bit more of a complex piece than a lot of the ones that I do. It's up there with some of the more complex ones, but it's nothing super crazy that you can't do with a little bit of time. Sometimes it takes you stepping away for a little bit and coming back and then continuing. So for whatever reason you're running out of time, you're a little frustrated, you need to take a break, etc., feel free to do so, and then come back and finish with the recorded session. Okay, the recorded session will be available immediately after I just hit the save button, and it goes and lives under that live tab on the main painting with Jesse page. But okay, next bear, the big guy. We're going to start with this line that comes out. So that comes out over here somewhere. Okay, up near the top of the little neck's, the smaller bear's neck. So right in here, this line is that right there, and it's going to come out a little bit. Watch how I'm holding my pencil. Nothing fancy. I can use this other hand, place it on my table. The drawing hand goes right over the top of that, and it helps me stabilize. Helps stabilize my drawing hand, my drawing stroke. Just gonna raise it back up a little bit. Again, folks, you make a mistake, erase it. That's why you want to do light pencil lines. Nothing wrong with erasing. Come down a little bit, and then this guy tapers down, angles down. And then over here somewhere, it's going to connect to the little bear's body. Smaller bear's body. Something like that. Okay. Out, down, back down the other way, and then back up, and it touches somewhere over here. Okay, now we're going to come up right up over the top of this little guy's head. We're going to go up. Now my bear is going to get lost a little bit behind the blue and pink, this area over here, but you guys will see it. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. That, of course, is the big bear's neck. As we're working over here, what's happening? This is all drying. Okay, this is getting nice and dry. So we can go back and do another layer of paint over that, just a bit. So, coming over to this side. Smaller bear's body, right over here somewhere. This line comes up. Goes up, angles forward. Okay, comes up, angles forward. And of course, somewhere up in here, we have this little curved line for that ear. Okay, that ear right there. Let me give you guys a close-up. There you go. Okay, there's the ear. Comes up. Okay, you guys got about a minute to catch up before we go to the next step. Don't forget, folks, please send me pictures of your masterpieces when you're all done, whether you finish today or tomorrow or whenever. Send me your picture to Painting with Jesse here on Messenger. And I will be sharing a post tomorrow morning with all the pictures that I've gotten. So even if you haven't sent it to me by then and you see the post, you can add your picture to the comments section. Okay? But all right, here we go. Let's go with let's continue with the top of the head. This part right in here. I'm going to do this light, a little lighter than I normally would at first. I'm sorry, a little lighter than I have been. Once I have the right shape, I will make it a little darker. So there's the top of the head. Yeah, I like it. So let me darken it up a little more so you guys can see it. Comes down. There's a little point right here. It comes down. Not worried about the mouth right now. Just gonna connect that. And if I had to say, I probably want to make this one's head a little larger. It's a little small in comparison to this one. This is the smaller bear, and they have about the same size head. So let me go ahead and make that correction again. If I'm going to make a mistake when I'm drawing, I want to make the mistake where I draw the thing smaller than what it needs to be, because that's easy to fix. And the difference isn't a whole lot, but it is enough where my eye sees it. Okay, there we go. It's bigger. And then I'm going to add the nose, little button nose, kind of pointy. The mouth. And then the little, this eye's kind of a triangle, upside down triangle. Let me give you guys a close-up. Nothing to it, guys. Don't overthink. Okay, there it is. Okay. Take a moment on that. Time's a flying. So we're going to pick things up a little bit. Now that we got the bears in place, there isn't a whole lot left except for our bears. If I have time, I'm going to make some adjustments up here to my lights, to the light area. And then, of course, actually, the neon's going to come in first. I'll add the neon colors first, and then I'll come in. If there's an adjustment, if there's time, I'll make adjustments up here. If not, I do like what I have, so I just want to make some of these edges a little bit more subtle. Okay? But you guys got about 2 minutes to finish this part up, and we're going to start adding some more paint to this guy over here. Absolutely. And if some of you, again, are just kind of watching, not necessarily joining in on the actual project. If you guys want that stencil, the stencil for either one of these, and if you don't have the stencil yet, send me an email. Actually, first thing I would do is I'd go over to the event page and you'll find the stencil under the discussion tab. The stencil for all three. And then if you have problems downloading it from there, send me an email to paintingwithjesse@gmail.com and I'll get that over to you. Okay, let me reposition my canvases, put everything back so we can continue painting. Thank you guys once again for joining in. I hope to see a bunch of you guys when we do Molasses, our little sloth, next Tuesday, and then our little pair of giraffes the following Thursday. Hope to see you guys here. We got Among Us the week after that. A lot more paintings to come. Make sure you guys are following the page. Make sure you guys like the page so that you guys get notifications when I add something new. Okay, if you guys aren't liking the page or following the page, but you guys want to see what's happening on here, you won't get any of the notifications. When I post an event, you guys will get a chance to see what I'm doing. Okay. All right. Now, not everything that we do on here is as complex as this today. I'm sure if you're new to the page, you're going, or you might be going, dang, this is kind of tough. But we have a variety of different levels of paintings on here. So if this isn't necessarily, something that you're feeling too comfortable with, there's all sorts of stuff that we do on here that require different skill levels. So I'm sure there's something in here that you would be happy doing and be successful at. If you think maybe something like this is a little too complex. But all right, here we go. Excuse me. So back to our painting. Stick my brushes right here. You guys might see those tip over and fall. Hopefully not, but it does happen sometimes. Got my paper towel. I'm going to go back to my 3/4 inch brush. Need to load up on my white. Actually, I still have white. Actually, I better move those brushes. Too dangerously close to the edge. Just gonna grab a gob of this stuff. And I'm gonna go back to our little bear here really quickly. I'm going to be doing some drawing right over this wet layer in a bit. So again, right in here, just gonna come through, start painting a little past my edge, but that's all right, we can fix that. Now, if you guys notice, this layer of paint is making everything nice and solid. I'm going to shorten up my brush strokes a little, not as long. Make sure you guys cover up your pencil lines on the edges. Okay, down in the fur. Now I'm going to use the edge of my brush now, like this skinny part. And again, brush strokes are in the direction of the fur. Again, folks, don't forget, and I know we've been painting for a while, but when this is all over, I'm going to jump on about 10 minutes afterwards, because I need a little time to set it up. I'm gonna jump on my YouTube just to test it out, get a better feel for everything on there. You guys wanna, I'm gonna do a live, impromptu live for those of you who'd like to come on over and just hang out for a little bit, maybe 10, 15 minutes or so, I don't know. Gotta start playing around with that platform. All right. I'm gonna take my big brush, put it back in my water cup. I'm going to take my little number 6, trusty number 6 flat, and my little quarter or half-inch brush here, half-inch in width. Come up over the top right here. This guy right in here. This is the top of our snout. Okay, somewhere between the eyes. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna brush. Okay. Gonna go under. Now, I'm going to take the same brush. I'm going to grab some black. And put in the little eyeballs, little eyes, little black eyes. Okay? Remember what I said. You want to err on the side of making things smaller, because bigger is harder to fix. The same applies to painting. So right up in here somewhere. Add. Okay, there's one little eye. Hold on, let me turn this guy towards me a little. Want to make sure that I get the angle right. There's the other little eye. Notice I'm just eyeballing, no pun intended, eyeballing where they should be. They could be a little further apart. They could be a little closer. But you start small first, and then you can slowly add around the edges to make them larger. For now, that's where I'm going to stop with that. What I want to do now, and I'll stop after this step, give you guys a couple minutes to catch up, but watch what I'm doing, just making a little bit of gray here, down here underneath the snout. Using the brush here to draw. If you wanted to, you could take out your pencil and do this with pencil instead. It's a little safer. Okay, and then I'll just bring this up around the edge. It's about layering. Okay. All right. Take a minute or two to catch up with that. I know there was kind of a lot going on there. Awesome, somebody shared my YouTube page. I see it. Where'd my little mouse go? Where'd I put my mouse in all this so I can scroll up without having to touch my keyboard so I don't get any paint on it? Hi, Judy Spicer from Canada. Sharon says, anyone else have a cat drinking their paint water? Oh, too funny. Yeah. As long as it's non-toxic paint, we're good, right? And acrylic paint, doesn't taste good. You probably don't want to drink too much of it, but it's pretty safe. I've accidentally put my brushes in. I'm drinking something, I'll put my brushes in there. I don't even pay attention that I did it. Next thing I know is I'm drinking out of that same cup, and I drink some paint water. It happens, it happens. All right, little nose. Right up in here somewhere in the center between, you want to leave a little space, right? Where the little, this part right here, little middle segment between the nose and the mouth, that little part down the middle over the lip, right up in here we have this little nose. And you can go to a smaller brush. I'd probably be safer using a smaller brush. But Sometimes I like to live dangerously. You can also use the corner, just the corner of the brush to help me refine my line a little bit. There we go. I'll use my pinky here. So my pinky, I'll place it on the canvas. Stabilizes my hand. There we go. I'll come in and refine this a little bit later, but actually we need to make it a little bit wider. Remember, small to big, small to big. Okay. And who knows, maybe some of you guys will make the nose look like a heart. That would be kind of cool. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more black now. Just dipping my brush into the black, darkening up my gray a touch, and I'm just going to come in here. Don't need a lot of this black paint. Just going to dab around in here a little. Okay. Now I can tell that this is whiter than the ratio of this is a lot larger than this. I can fix that. Simply clean my brush a little, even swirl it around my water cup. I just grab a little bit of white paint, don't need a lot, and then I'll come in here over the top. Okay. Slowly bringing that edge down. All this is gray anyway, so now I can use that color and bring it up. Okay. Little refinements. We refine things as we go, little by little. All right. Cute little guy right there. I'm also going to take more of this gray now. And down here, underneath. Has a little shadow under his snout. I'm going to take a mixture of white and gray. Swirly a little bit. Come in here and okay. Now I'm going to take more white, mix a little bit more in here, lightening up the color quite a bit. Now, right up in here, using the skinny edge of my brush, like this, I'm just going to start doing this. Again, brushing outwards. Watch what I'm doing, folks. Pay attention to how I'm holding the brush. Try to mimic my brush strokes. You'll learn as much from watching and mimicking as you will from listening to me describing what I'm doing. Cover the ears up a little. Okay. Maybe I'll take a little bit of this same gray, maybe lightening it up a little, and then down in here also, underneath, or at the so right below where the bottom edge of his chin is. We're doing this in layers, and this isn't all we're going to be doing to the head. We're refining little by little. Now watch, I'm working kind of quickly, right? One, because this doesn't require a whole lot of detail just yet. So I'm building up to all that detail. And then 2, because, we want to make sure we don't run over. If we're going to run over, it's not going to be by a lot. All right. Take a moment on that. In just a bit, we're going to add a layer of paint over these little guys over here. Okay, so let's see what we got. Elizabeth Reyes from Des Moines, Iowa. How's it going, Elizabeth? Carol, no worries. Watch the replay. Fantastic. Shumaila from Canada. Yeah, little by little, folks. Little by little. Thank you, Catherine, for sharing my YouTube. You're awesome. Don't forget, folks, for those of you that can and are able to, one of the ways you guys can support the page is by going over to one of my virtual tip jar options at Venmo, PayPal, and Zelle. Venmo, Jesse Mendeville at Painting with Jesse, all one word. Sometimes I'll ask you to verify my phone number. My picture will be on Venmo and PayPal. You'd see me. There's a little icon with my picture on it. And then Zelle's my phone number, of course. PayPal, paypal.me/Painting with Jesse. You can find me under paintingwithjesse@gmail.com. And there is a link in the description of this video for that. Okay, for those of you that can, it's greatly appreciated. Another way, once again, that you can help is by sharing the page, inviting your friends, family, letting everybody know what a great time you guys had with me. But next Tuesday, molasses. Okay, don't miss out on little molasses here. We're going to be painting molasses. For some reason, this month ended up being, we did quite a few animals, just by accident. And then, of course, February 2nd, we got our Among Us painting. Okay, there's that. And then next Thursday, and I'm showing you guys these out of order. Next Thursday, in case you guys missed it, we got our little giraffing me crazy. And I got a little bit of blue paint up there right now by holding it up there. It's okay. Okay? So make sure you guys don't miss out on those. We're going to have lots of fun. Okay. Let's switch brushes. I'm going to go ahead and switch to a smaller brush now. Let's see here. My little number 2. My number 2 flat brush. Little guy. About 1/8 of an inch in width. Little small guy. As long as you got something like it, you're good to go. I'm going to take some paint. Whoops, let me switch. I think I got more paint over here to pick from. So right over here. A little bit of a swirly color in there. Grayish white, but mostly white. We want them to stand out against the snow, the background. I outline everything first. Now these guys are going to get an outline in black, so we can cover as much of those pencil marks as possible, but not absolutely necessary since we're going to be covering those with black paint. And then again, try to brush in the direction of their fur. How would their fur lay on their coat, on their bodies, right? That fur tends to go down and back. If your little guys aren't standing out against the snow, the background, just change up their color so it contrasts against that snow. And once you outline them, there's going to be a really big difference. The outline's what's really going to make them pop. So I'm covering up the little guy's eyes and everything, but I can still see them. Still see the eye coming through the paint. So as long as you can see all of that, you're good. Okay. And there we go. And there's a little close up of my little bear. It doesn't look like much yet. He's slowly taking shape. It's the little refinements, the last touches that make a big difference. And then don't forget, folks, YouTube afterwards. Come join me. Hang out for a little bit. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you guys like, subscribe to the YouTube page. All right, take a couple minutes on that. We're at 5:41. Woo! 20 minutes. We're going to go over, folks, by a little bit. These guys aren't too crazy. We just have to outline them once they're dry. Maybe a second coat. But this little guy's going to take a little bit of refinement. Okay, and then, of course, got the neon green that we're going to add over our Aurora Borealis. I'm actually going to do that now since we're waiting, giving this a little time to dry. I'm going to take some neon and paint over my green areas and maybe even my pink. So let me grab some of my green. For those of you that don't have any of this, so this is basically, it's a glow-in-the-dark paint. Actually, hang on one second. Don't want my glow-in-the-dark, I want my neon. So this is a green glow-in-the-dark paint, and then but I've got this Deco Art black light neon. It's covered up with some paint there, so you can't see the entire label on here, but it's Deco Art is the brand. Black light neon. Okay, really good brand. These guys glow under black light. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this out. If you don't have it, folks, don't worry about it. You can add this later if you want. But so there's the difference between the original green that I used and then the neon color. And again, under black light, that glows pretty nicely. It stands out quite a bit. I'm sure you guys have seen those black light paintings. We'll be doing some of those this year, so if you guys are interested in those, stick around. Cleaning up my little number 6 a bit. I'm gonna grab my neon, just come on over, and again, I don't have to add it to every single part of this. I'm gonna concentrate on the areas with more density, where there's a lot more of this stuff. Center, and then I spread it a bit. Kind of similar process, right, to what we did with the original steps. And then I can come in here and brush them up a little. So nice big difference, right? Contrast, it's quite a bit brighter. Again, we don't have to add it everywhere to every single part of our lights. Pick some spots that you want to concentrate on. And then don't forget to brush upwards a little. Right up here. I don't know, did I mention, folks, that we hit 27,000 followers as of yesterday? I think I did at the beginning of our session today, but 27,000 followers on our page. So cool and so grateful. I was looking back, a few days ago, I was looking back in August, I put a post up when the page hit 1,200 followers, 1,200 followers. I was just back like August 10th. And here we are just a few months later with 27,000 followers. So that's pretty fantastic. Just want to thank everyone that helps support the page by sharing, by inviting people, by telling people, about all the fun stuff that we do here. And I don't know exactly where the page is going yet, right? But I'm enjoying making these. It's work, right? Spend a lot of time thinking up ideas and putting them together, and some ideas are better than others, more popular than others, but the whole process is just, you know, it's just awesome for me. But I do want to thank all of you guys. If you're new here to the page, absolutely thank you guys for being here today. But for those of you that have been hanging out for a while, coming back and paint some more, and again, you guys let everybody know, I really, really do appreciate it. For those of you that have supported the page by tipping, using the virtual tip jar, I know there's quite a few of you out there, so I appreciate you guys. There's ads that I run, and you know, Facebook doesn't give you much in ways of organic reach. It does mute you. It toggles down how much you're shared with other people. The page gets shared because it's a business. They're trying to make money off of the ads. So anyway, there's ads that I run, but it helps. Everything that you guys do helps. Commenting, liking. So again, just want to take a moment to appreciate all of you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see. Towards the end of the year, my goal is 100,000 followers. Let's see if I can get there. At this rate, who knows? I know the holiday season, lots of people come out and, you know, want to check out what you're doing. So it's a lot easier when the holiday season was up. It's a lot easier to get eyeballs because everybody's looking for something to do. We'll see how the rest of the year goes. But here we go. Whoop, not that one again. I didn't want to grab the glow in the dark. I want to get the neon. Same black light neon pink brand. I'm just going to use a little bit of this. Whoops, a little too much. So there it is on my plate. Just need a little. Just pick your spots. Okay. But anyway, then YouTube, last week I asked, I was like at 400 followers, because I don't do a whole lot on YouTube yet. That's, like I said, that's all coming. But I posted on Facebook, hey guys, I need to get to 1,000 subscribers before I can actually do any live streams on YouTube. And just in that, I posted a couple of times, and in that week, we're over 2,000 followers over there. So again, just want to thank everyone that's gone over and subscribed over there also. But all right, guys, there's the neon. Okay, so for those of you that have that neon, and again, you don't have to do this step right now. That can be added later. We're going to continue on with the bear here. We don't want to waste too much time, so I wanted to demonstrate the neon part of it. We're going to go back to adding the detail on the little bear now. Finishing up with him, giving him all the little details so he looks fluffy and cute like the original. Let me go ahead and actually I'm going to keep this guy turned a touch towards me so I get a better view of him. Otherwise, again, my perspective is off and I come out painting the guy a little bit different, slightly different proportions and stuff. That's been the biggest hindrance when I'm doing these is the angle that I'm at. Well, again, I'm used to painting from the front, right? I'm directly in front of my canvas. But like this, I've got to sit over to the side. But all right, here we go. And I can see these guys are going to need a little second layer, so I'm not worried about that now. But let me grab some more white. I'm switching back to my little, actually I'm going to start with the number 6 brush, and I might progress over to my number 2. So number 6 flat, again the little 1/2 inch wide one. I'm trying to describe these more with their actual technical names and numbers, so it makes it easier for some of you to know what I'm using, but I also want to describe it by their physical features. So for those of you that just have something similar, sometimes you can't see the number anymore for so much use. You guys know what I'm using. So over here at the top, just grabbed a whole bunch of white paint. Come over. Again, now I can kind of switch back to little short, choppy brush strokes. Again, keeping them, I'm following the shape of that head. Turning my brush slightly as I move across the little bear's head. And then I am doing this now, using the skinny part of the brush. When we're all done here in a few minutes, if you guys want to keep painting, you absolutely can, right? If you're not completely done, if you're behind a little bit, just because I finished doesn't mean you guys are done, right? And again, a lot of you guys are going to come back and paint with the recorded version. So down here, now I'm picking it up a little bit, going a little faster than I normally would, again, because of the time. This paint layer is a little thicker. I'm grabbing more paint, loading up my brush quite a bit. I'm using the skinny part of my brush. Now in a moment I'm going to bring this up into the gray area in here and just going to pick some spots. I'm going to do this to lighten it up a little. It's not as so to give it less of a contrast. It stands out too much. Again, folks, I just want to let you guys know I'm kind of self-taught, or rather, I don't have any formal training with this stuff. I just went for it. I learned as I went. And you guys can do it too. Whatever level you start at, whatever your natural ability is, you will get better the more you do it. And again, there's going to be frustrating moments. There's going to be, you're going to pull your hair from time to time. It's okay. It grows back. Just don't pull it completely out from the roots. I think sometimes those don't come back. But yeah, just have fun. Go for it. There's no perfect. Don't expect perfect. I think that's probably the biggest mistake people make. They want to make perfect paintings every single time. I've been painting for about consistently for about 8 years, and I started dabbling about 15 years ago. Started with oil paints, and then I've been over time started doing more acrylic paintings, but I still sometimes get frustrated. It happens. So now I'm going to take some light gray, a little swirly paint, and I'm going to come in here. Now I can switch over to a smaller brush if I want. I'm just going to come in here and actually, right over here, I'm using the broad part of the brush like this, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'm just kind of dabbing, but I'm still moving like this. As I move across the face, I'm kind of doing this, changing the angle of my brush. Sometimes I get people that'll send me messages, hey Jesse, this one took me 5 hours or 4 hours, because they're taking their time. That's how it is. These paintings take time to develop. Okay, and here around the edges, I'm just gonna work my way around the edges a little bit, cleaning them up a little so that it's a little darker, closer to the inside, right? The shadow is more prominent down in here than it is on the edges. Okay. It's coming together, coming together. Now I'm going to take just white. And I know some of these steps I'm jumping through them kind of quickly. Don't stress. Add some white over the top. Right in here over the eyes, or right on top of the eyes. Not on top, but right above. Okay, over the eyes like this. here. This little edge is a little too defined, so let me blend it out a little. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my tiny little, not my round brush, my 0 round brush, but this little guy, my number 2, okay, number 2 flat. And I'm going to dip it into my black paint. Come right over here. The eyes are going to pop. Now the eyes become a little more defined. When we add the little reflection on the inside, it's really going to make a difference. Okay. I'm going to take a little step back. Look at my little guy here. See where I need to make some adjustments. I'm going to open this up a little bit wider, maybe round this out a little. Got little adjustments to make here in a moment. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my skinny round brush, this little guy. Okay. I'm going to grab a little bit of black paint. Okay. Right in here. Bring that down. Needed to add a little bit of water to my brush and then mix it in with the paint so it's easier to do the outline. Little guy smiling. Okay, cool. Starting to take shape little by little. So he looks a little lopsided right now. This side's a little further out than this side. So in a moment I'm going to round this over a little by adding some gray in here, but I'm also going to take this and bring it out a little bit. So this guy's going to be a little chubbier than that guy, but that's okay. Just a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is now I'm going to take my little liner brush, I'm going to grab some white, I'm going to come right over. Look at the difference this is going to make. When we add the little reflection in the eyes, the little bear comes alive. Little guy goes, hey, hey. He looks super happy. So take a moment on all of that. I know those were quite a few steps. We're not done with him yet. A little more refinement left to do. We're right at 3 hours, folks. And there's 160 of you still hanging out. Fantastic. Jennifer says, mine looks mad. Hi, Norma Jean. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And again, as I look on the feed, I can see it's easier for me to see the side to side. And of course, he looks a little bit, he's a little too far over this way. So in a moment, I'm going to take some gray. Like I said, I'll fix this up. Instead of going through and having to clean this up and remove it, because I could take it off if I want. I can come in here and wipe all of that down, and it'll remove it so that this comes in a little bit so it matches the original a little bit more. Okay, I could do that by doing this. I could, hang on one sec. I just don't want to, it's something that would take a little time to slowly work through, but I could take a little bit of water like this on a paper towel, and then I would come in here, and then I'd lightly come in here and start to rub over the top of this. Eventually it starts to remove it. The problem is that it's also going to take some of the paint that's underneath it, right? So to avoid, and then I'd have to go in there and touch all that up with the original paint colors, and I don't want to mess with that right now. I'm just going to take this and fix it by making an adjustment to the other side so he looks more symmetrical. So back to my number 6, clean it up, take some gray, and I know we have to do another layer here, and then we're gonna do another layer, and we're gonna outline that at the same time. Oops, a little darker. Hope you guys don't mind. We're gonna go a little over. We're gonna go about 15 minutes over if I had to guess. Oh, no, 30 minutes over. 15 past 3 o'clock. So about 6:15 or so. We did one back in Jack and Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas, back in I think it was October, and we painted for I think it was a little over 4 hours. But we do that thing from scratch. Every single thing on that was from scratch. And I think we had something like 800, 900 people joining in for that one, or 800, 900 devices. And at the end, we still had something like 300, 400 people painting. It was pretty crazy. But that one was a lot of fun. If there's a chance, I'll show you guys. For those of you that are new to the channel, I'll show you guys what that painting looks like. So again, I'm just coming over and making little modifications to his little head so he's a little bit wider on the right side and matches the left side a little bit. I can also bring this down a little bit underneath. So again, as opposed to coming in here and trying to erase all of this, that would take much longer. But this works just as well. Now he doesn't look lopsided like he did earlier. And if we kept him lopsided, he would be just fine. All right. So I'm going to add another layer of paint to these guys right here, and then I'm going to do the outline at the same time. So a little bit of white. Now all I'm going to do here, using the edge of my number 6, the layer underneath is a little bit darker than this one. I'm using straight white. So the colors are going to contrast a little bit. Some of that gray underneath is going to bleed through, or the dark, or not. Yeah, it'll bleed through, and you'll be able to see it between the brush strokes that I'm creating right now. Creating a cool little effect of light and darker areas. There we go. Back to my little liner brush. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab quite a bit of black. Don't need a lot, but I want to make sure I have enough. So here we go. Take my brush, I dip it into my water cup a couple of times. Okay, like this. Bring some of that water over. I gotta be really careful I don't knock that over. Actually, again, we're in danger zone. I got my laptop back there. There we go. So now I'm mixing some of that water with the paint. It's gonna make that paint easier to work with. I spin my brush like this, making that point a little skinnier, smaller. Now I'm gonna go and start with a little nose up on top. Come around. I'm just outlining everything. This water makes it so much easier to make small details. All these little skinny lines. Now I can make this a little bit lighter by adding some water to it, maybe making the outlines a little bit less defined. We're going to come through, come around, under, So what's happening as we're doing this? This is all drying. I'm actually going to take my blow dryer. To speed things up a little. Okay, a little teardrop, upside down teardrop eye or triangle, almost like a little triangle. Can't forget the little mouth. This little ear ended up being a little larger than I wanted it to, and I can clean that up by wiping it off. Still all pretty wet in there. Or I can take some white paint and paint right over the top of it. Okay, there we go. I just eliminated that. I'm going to make that a little smaller. There we go. Okay, I'm going to come around. Continue with our outlining on the larger bear. Come over. Inside of the ear. Can't forget the nose, mouth, and then upside down triangle for the eye. Okay. All right, guys. Awesome, Sue. Koi fish. Ooh, that would be fun. Definitely got some koi fish in the near future. I like that idea. So work on this for a little bit. Again, I'm going to bust out the hairdryer in a moment to dry this up, and then we're going to do the final touches on this guy, and we're good. So again, this guy's a little chubbier than that one. It's all good. Still looks like a cute little teddy bear. Let's see. Oh, the trees. Yes, thank you so much. Who reminded me of that? Vanessa Alexander. The trees. So those are pretty easy. Let's go ahead and throw those in right now. And I was most definitely going to forget those. Okay. What I'm going to do for the trees, it's actually fairly simple. A little small brush. Here's this little number 2 flat. It's going to take some white. Actually, I'm going to start with mostly, it's actually going to be black. Let me grab a little more black paint. Like I mentioned earlier, it almost never fails. I typically end up forgetting some little detail, usually something small. So just grabbing my little flat number 2. And I'm going to see if I can bring this up close to you guys. Is that in shot? Hopefully that's in shot. There it is. Okay, so skinny part of the brush like this. So I'll start with a nice little line. So we'll pick a little spot right here. Okay, I start with that. Now this might be a little difficult to see, but they're triangular in shape. Because they're so far away, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. They don't need a lot of detail. I'm just kind of... Okay, now these over here are right on the horizon line. Okay, so I brought that one a little lower than what I want. I can fix this in a moment, or I can just simply, they can all match like that, where they're down past the horizon line. Either way will work. So next one, I'm going to stop that one at the horizon line, right there. Maybe this one's a little taller. Little line first, come through. Long triangle. Okay. Over here. And of course, the originals have a little bit of snow right over the top. So we can add that in a little bit. Again, the trees are off in the distance, so they don't need a lot of details. They can be pretty flat, and it'll work just fine. Okay. So what I'll do now is clean up my brush. So just dab my brush right into the paint. And then I'm just going to come over and right over the wet black paint. I'm just touching the brush right up to those, right over the top, over the top of that wet paint. A little bit of snow on those trees. Okay. Pretty basic from a distance, right? You can't really tell too much of the detail, but up close, that's what you've got. So take a little bit on that. Just a couple minutes. Again, that's something you can do on your own. That doesn't require a whole lot of, once you've seen one or two, you're good to go. But what I do want to do is I want to further refine our little guy over here. Finish him off so that he's, looking a little more like the original. Let me take my blow dryer. I'm going to come on over. This little guy right here looks like he has a bunch of fish in his mouth. He's holding a bunch of fish in there. Okay, here we go. Back to my number 6. My little 1/4 inch or half inch flat brush. First, I'm going to start with the top. Just going to grab a bunch of white right over the top. Now you can brush his hair a little bit, whichever direction you want. You can kind of make sure I cover up some of my little pencil lines that I can still see on the edges. Okay, a little short. You can give him a part if you want. Part his hair down the middle and go to the sides. All about layering. So right here, I'm just coming in and lightly touching, feathering in some of this paint. I want some of that gray still peeking through. Our little bear's looking nice and fluffy. I'm using the corner of my brush, just barely the corner here, a little bit to make some of these smaller markings, smaller brush strokes. go on both sides to match as far as the colors. When I was first thinking about making this painting, I was thinking, a few months ago we did this one called Midnight Stroll, and it was a family of 3 bears. That was 2 or 3 bears, I can't remember. I think it was 3 bears. The whole background is kind of similar to this back here. Everything was really deep purple. There was a big moon in the background, and it was reflecting into some water, and the bears were going like over a land bridge over that water. And I called it Midnight Stroll. There was a tree over on the side, and when I first thought of this painting, I thought of making that original painting with that original black bear family, because it was in silhouette, but they weren't polar bears. I was thinking of redoing that, but in this type of scene, or like a kind of continuation of that one. But it made more sense to make it because I was going to use the Aurora Borealis. I know most people associate polar bears with that, so I decided I'd stick with the polar bears. But that was a really neat little painting also. Midnight Stroll. Alright, I'm going to come over the top here, just kind of refine the edges of my ears a little. And I know for some of you guys, paint fatigue is starting to set in. For me, after about 4-5 hours is when it really starts to hit. Back when I was doing a lot, so back a few months, actually a few years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, I was doing a lot of figurative works, human body, a lot of portraits, and I could paint for hours. And I would usually do those in the middle of the night. Start like at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I'd go into the wee hours of the night, or of the morning in this case. Somewhere around 3, 4 o'clock though, I'd start to feel it. My brain was going, nope, that's it, buddy. All right. Let me take a little step back. Take a look at my little bear. All right. I'm liking him. Cutie. So I could come in here and let this dry and come back and do this one more time over everything. And things would get a little more refined. Okay? But for time's sake, I think this is about where we're going to stop, or at least where I'm going to stop. But he's pretty close to what we have over there. Pretty close. He's a little fluffier over here, maybe. These brush strokes over here, a little more random, a little longer in some cases. But I like him. I like the way he looks. Just going to add a few more little random ones in here. Kind of different directions maybe. But anyhow, I'm sure paint fatigue is setting in for some of you guys. Don't forget, as soon as this is over, I'm going to click that save button. It's going to go right up to the live tab. The live tab on the main page is where it's going to be. I can also come in, if I wanted to, come in and darken up and refine the nose a little bit more. Make it stand out a little bit more, but I kind of like the way it looks. Let me take a little step back from a distance. Okay. And I still see I could bring this out a little bit more still to match this side. But again, I'm not going to stress too much over that. But all right, folks. Let me look at the comments. Last thing that I would do, actually 2 things. I would sign it. I'd find a little spot over the edge somewhere. Let me go ahead and do that now. Okay, I'll take the blue that I've been using, this really pretty blue that we use for the sky. Look how deep this looks in comparison to this, because we did a second layer up here. Okay, but that's pretty blue. The water doesn't need a whole lot. Oh, there are little cracks in the water, in the ice. These little guys around our bears. Let's go ahead and add those. I know some of you guys are probably going, hey, Jesse, you're probably in the comments. I'm not looking at the comments right now. But I'm sure some of you guys are probably going, you're missing something. So I'm just mixing a really dark gray, actually almost black, using my little liner brush. I'll come over here. Okay. And then this guy, I didn't mean for it to connect to the little pond or lake or whatever you want this to be. So you can stop right there. And then we can add another one right in there. Okay. You could come in here and add some areas where you got some lighter snow peeking through, make little hills. You can do all kinds of little stuff to add to the painting, right? To make things in the snow look, maybe you have a little hill over there, who knows? There's all kinds of stuff you could play with. Now again, I don't have the time to do it, but I would come in here and just to refine my edges a little bit so these guys look a little bit more like these. And as far as I like the brightness of it, but just to clean up the edges a bit, I would take a more thinned out version of this original color. I would thin it out by adding a little bit of water, and then just with one little flat brush, just slightly around some of those edges, I would clean those up. But other than that, everything's looking good, I think. So I'm going to sign it. I'll sign it right down in this little corner. Don't forget, folks, I'm going to be on YouTube in just a few minutes. Again, just to test things out over there, say hello to you guys. See what you guys think. You can sign with your first name, your last name, your initials. I like to use my last name. Whoops. Kicking things over. But anyway, everyone, thank you guys all for joining me today. Let's look at those comments before I head over to YouTube, before I close this out and head over to YouTube. We got about 117 people still here. You got it, Jen. My pleasure. Oh. Yeah, bears. What should we name our bears? Ooh, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. You got it, Bear Berry. Christina Jean, my pleasure. Thank you for being here. To all of you, thank you so much. Anita Erickson, how's it going? Fantastic. Glad you had a good time. Me too. Absolutely loved hanging out with you guys today. Oh, Nikki Peck. Thank you so much. Yes, you noticed that I was about to forget the lines. Now on my original, I did come in with a little bit of white and outline them a little, but it's not necessary to do that here. If you can if you want. Just take a little bit of white and outline around the edges, just a touch, to make them look more like the originals, but that's not that big of a deal. Fish. All right, fish. I'm seeing some people asking about the fish. Oh, you know what? Let me go ahead and do the little white part. You know what? Well, why not? Why not? I was gonna say the other thing I need to do is add some of this gray for the snow underneath. So what I would do is I would flip this again because I'm painting on an easel. I would go ahead and add that color in. I could also wrap the color of my bear. So my little bear, I could wrap those colors all the way over, right? But instead, what I would do just to make sure I've got some paint on there, I would take this gray and paint over that part. But little cracks in the snow or in the ice. This could be ice. I'm just going to take a little bit of white now. Just taking a little bit of white, and then just little parts. Not on all of it, just parts of it. Just adding some of that white. Sometimes, folks, as I'm doing these, I'm like, oh my gosh, we painted for too long. People are going to be a little upset. But I know some of you guys are troopers and can go on for a long time. So, for you guys, that's there. Okay? So basically, that's what that looks like. Let me give you guys a close-up. There's a close-up of the piece. Okay? Hope you guys all enjoyed today. I had an awesome time with you. Okay, thank you guys. Don't forget to join me next week when we do molasses. And then we do giraffing me crazy. And then the following week we're going to be doing Among Us. Okay? And there's a lot more coming. There's a lot more that we're going to be adding to our calendar here on Facebook, and then eventually to YouTube, because the plan is to do simultaneous broadcasts on both platforms going forward after the Among Us session. We'll see how that turns out. But I'm going to be doing a little bit of cleanup here, and then I'm going to be jumping over to YouTube. But for those of you that are going to go over and join me, give me about 10 minutes to get all set up. I'm going to do a different thing with I'm going to try my different camera, other camera, nicer camera, to test that out also. But again, folks, don't forget, if you guys are able to, check out the details in the description of the video. My virtual tip jar information is there. It would be greatly appreciated for those of you that can. Okay, so there is my information. Don't know if you guys are on your phone or what's happening, but you take a little screenshot of this, and maybe, again, for those of you that are able to, it is greatly appreciated, and it goes a long way in helping support the page. Okay? All right, everyone. I will see you guys shortly. For those of you that are going over to YouTube, if you aren't planning on going over to YouTube, hopefully I'll see you guys very soon on some other feeds, okay? Other sessions. But thank you guys. Bye-bye. Have a great rest of the evening. Bye-bye.